All right, people. This is the Union Tapes episode number 7, and it's with a guy called Craig Campbell, who I'm sure many of you will know of already. Craig was one of the biggest names in UK BMX freestyle in the 80s, and from the early 80s up, did all there was to do. He was there at the start of it all when he started racing and swiftly moved on to freestyle. He was the first guy that I saw pictures of riding a concrete bowl back in Action Bike in the early days. I think it was 83. In the 10 years that he was in BMX, he's virtually done everything there is to do. And it's incredible to find out how fast and how much was going on in the early days. He did contests, magazine articles, tours, TV appearances, trick team shows, trips to the USA, trick innovation. Was a major part of the street movement at the time, which was the group that broke away from the sanitised sports hall and uniform BMX events back then. We also talk about BMX Action Bike, rad photo shoots and articles, the origins of certain tricks, the move to the USA to reignite the spark, riding in 2 hip events, behind the scenes information on various sponsors and teams, and a ton more info that has not been talked about before. Hope you enjoy this one. And if you feel like it, please give us a subscribe and a like. It helps out. Enjoy. I just need a little bit of background first. Like, where was you born and raised?
Rochford Hospital, Essex. Grew up in the 70s in South Benfleet. And then moved to Rayleigh in Essex in 1980. And that's when the BMX started.
That's where you found BMX?
Yeah.
Cool. Where did you first see the first BMX you saw? Where was that? Like,
they got to the local bike shop in Rayleigh. They got some Mongoose bikes in, just out of nowhere. And all of a sudden they showed up in the bike shop. And we were riding around on like old beat up tracker bikes, as we used to call them. There was suddenly these bright coloured, purpose built BMX bikes from California, and we were like, wow,
colour tyres.
I've got to have one of these. That was it. That was just out of nowhere.
So your parents bought you.
I got a Mongoose motor mag to start with because I thought the motor mag wheels looked cool.
Yeah.
I'm like 12 years old, right? But then got it home, tried to ride it. It's like a tank. So I had to take it back a few days later and got a Mongoose 2 with like alloy wheels and stuff. White wheels, yeah.
Did you skate in the skate craze in the 70s?
When it was 77, 78.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been like 8, 9 years old. Yeah, I had one of those crap little plastic skateboards. Went to ROM when it first opened.
Oh, you went ROM on a skateboard first?
I went to ROM before it opened. I was looking through the fence because my aunt lives across the road.
Oh, okay.
So one time I was visiting my aunt and she goes, go and check out what they built over the road. And, I'm like, wow, what's this?
Oh, man, amazing.
And then, went in there on a skateboard, I think, once and was like, I didn't have the skills back then.
Yeah.
To be any good on a skateboard, so I kind of thought, well, no, it's not really for me. And then I never went back there. Probably, I guess 81. I went back there when I first got BMX. 81, 82, went there a few times with my parents. And it wasn't really till 83 that I started going there on the train with my mates, and that's when I started getting into it.
Well, how busy was the skate scene when you went on the skateboard?
It was packed. At that point, in 1978, it was the skate boom. So. It was packed, and I couldn't get my head around it. It was too busy. I wasn't good enough, and so I was like, no, forget about it.
Okay. Can you remember the first BMX mag you ever bought?
BMX Action,
American.
Which they had some copies that came in with the Mongoose bikes from California, and that in the same bike shop. That set me off. Look, not only the dirt jumps, but there was the skate parks. I was like, whoa, they're riding BMX in skate parks, And that was that's what got me started on doing airs.
So when you saw that like skate parks in the mags, you just thought of Romford, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You thought I could go to Romford.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the closest thing we had.
Yeah.
that's what I thought a skate park was until I went to Pipeline.
Right, I've seen the stories before, yeah. And the first, did you remember the first time you saw BMX on TV? Was it like a couple of years before you saw that, or a year? Or
first time I saw BMX on TV. One thing that sticks out is IOU, innit? It's called IOU by Freeze. There was a pop video.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah,
and it's shot in West London, I think. There's a little bit of BMX in that.
That's right.
That's one of the first. I think I put it on my Instagram actually, not a while back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first. I don't know. I can't think.
Yeah, I remember watching it recently. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. And they were just street kids, weren't they, riding about the streets?
Yeah, just like doing the funny kick out things.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So the first riding spot you ever went to was that ROM, I guess, right?
Yeah, first.
Did you have like just a dirt jump somewhere near your house?
No, really, we had dirt jumps. We used to go to Hockley Woods. There was some pretty good dirt jumps there. And there was a few spots in Rayleigh. And we'd do sort of like jumps off. There'd be like, you have like a sort of a kicker jump on a bank. Yeah. So you kind of jump off it and do like a 180 and land on the bank. We were doing that, which was kind of before quarter pipe airs. But it was a kind of similar technique, and that's kind of, how we, and then seeing the skate park riding in California in the magazines and thought, well, we could start trying this at ROM,
Yeah.
And that's how
so that's pretty innovative for like, you were probably like 10 or 12, right? 10 or 11 maybe.
No, I think it's probably, maybe 12, 13, certainly 13. I was starting to get quite good at airs, I think, at that point. Doing them at the Clover at ROM. Right. Started doing them in there. And then moved on to the Performance Bowl.
I remember, an old pic of you doing the one-hander at the Clover.
Yeah, I mean, it's like so 60 degrees or something. It's not even close to the,
So how booming was BMX? Like when you was riding that like dirt spot, how many other kids would be there? Like,
no, it wasn't booming that much at that point.
It was too early.
We're talking 81, 82.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just like me and my gang of mates. About 8 of us, 8 of us. I don't know. Just kind of didn't, just kind of hanging around the local dirt jumps. Not really thinking much of it really, and kind of was like looking towards maybe doing a bit of racing because race meetings were sort of starting to pop up.
Yeah.
And I did that for a few years, but I was quite small when I was racing for my age. So I was racing against guys that, I was like 13, quite a small 13-year-old. I was racing against guys that looked like they were 18 or something. Yeah. So I had the skills but didn't have the strength.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's not really me this, and I was more interested in, what I'd seen in the magazines, riding ROM or doing tricks, So,
So how long did you race for? What, a couple of races?
A couple of years. I think, sort of 82, 83. Oh, it was 81, 82, mainly. I can't really remember, but from 81 to 83, I guess, racing.
I think I might have an old copy of like one of them old newspapers, and I think you're jumping in it maybe, or
BMX Weekly. Yeah, that was my first cover shot.
Oh, it was a cover, was it?
Doing a ROM, jumping out the snake at ROM.
Okay.
Doing like a one-footed
cross up, a
bit like a judge.
Was it snake? Not a half pipe, but snake.
It was a snake, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because the reason I cheated a bit. I've come clean here. Because when you jump out the snake, you can land on a bank, so it's easier to get flat.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So
so it's kind of like I was cheating a bit there, but it made for a good photo anyway. Got the cover.
Wow, early cover that as well.
Yeah, I was quite surprised actually when that all of a sudden popped up on the cover. I was like, wow.
So you found the skate parks by chance, basically, because your aunt
my aunt lives. She still lives there as well.
Oh wow!
She lived there all her life. She was born in 1939, and she still lives there. She's in her 80s now.
Well, like on that road.
She still lives in that same house.
That's amazing. Huh?
Lived there all her life. Yeah, just across the street. Well, it's not actually on the street that ROM is. It's just off down the side street. Yeah.
Oh man! And what was the ROMs like? So, you guys were in it before it even was a thing, right? So it wasn't really exploded yet. And you guys
skateboarding had died. There was, when I first went there on the bike, there was no skateboarders there, and there was hardly any BMXs. It was empty. it hadn't really kicked off. There was you'd see like maybe 10 guys in there on bikes, and they'd all had pretty good bikes. They were a bit older, and they were getting it. I don't know where they got. I don't know if Superbike existed at that point, or it was where I first started going, Alpine Action, and which was then shut down, and they went to Alpine Sports because it was Alpine Action in Notting Hill.
That's it.
They closed down and they moved to Alpine Sports in Kensington High Street.
Yeah,
and that's what the first sort of shops I started going to. And
so that was that pre-OT, because OT was your
OT was in Kent.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did a show down there once.
What was?
But I never used to really. I don't remember buying stuff from there. There was Rad City in
that's what I'm thinking of.
In Southend. Yeah, not Southend. In South Benfleet.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And that's because that was close to Rayleigh where I was living. Because that's what I said to you earlier. I grew up in the 70s in South Benfleet, but then moved to Rayleigh in the 80s, and then Rad City opened. I don't know what year it opened. 82, 83.
It was early, yeah. I remember it. Yeah, they seem to have quite a good.
They had like Bob Haro down. I've got a photo of me and Bob Haro at Rad City, and Skyway came there and stuff.
Yeah, I remember like pictures of demos at Rad City. Yeah. So could you tell that like there was going to be a boom of BMX when you was like at this point, or was you just into it and you were just carrying on?
Yeah, it was just kind of just rolling with it, just kind of didn't. I mean, yeah, it felt like a boom, everyone was getting into it. It was a new, exciting thing,
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of had a feel for it. I knew I was going to be pretty good at it.
All right.
Because, I kind of picked it up pretty easy, Yeah.
Did you ever go to Haro, like other than the Haro?
Yeah, I went to Haro. Well, the first time I went to Haro was when Bob Haro.
Oh, that was it, yeah?
Yeah, it was there.
Okay.
And I got, so I got sponsored basically.
Yeah, I've seen the pics and that. But so let me go back a bit first then. So you was at ROM and you started getting good in like 83. You was airing, what do you think? You was airing from 82 or something? Who like what was the scene at ROM? Like who were the other people that were riding there in 82 and 83?
It started getting busy in 83, I think. 81, 82. Well, certainly 81. It was really empty, but 82 started picking up, and it was quite busy by 83. And 83, I just remember 83 being the main year for me because I just started learning all this new stuff. It all started coming quite quickly, and I seemed to be a bit better than everybody else. You know what I mean? Like my mates. You know what I mean? I kind of had a bit of an edge on them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long before competitions came along and I started doing well in those.
Who was the other guys at ROM? Was there any like names that we'd know that in '83 that was coming through?
For me, the standout is Marco Lara.
Yeah,
without a doubt. He just he was like the UK Hugo Gonzales.
Yeah,
because he was like Colombian as well. You know what I mean? So he kind of had like the sort of vibe about him. And he used to just trip me out, He'd just like, you'd be sat there and all of a sudden he'd be flying over your head doing a 360, You know what I mean? And like, he'd do just crazy stuff. I mean, he was like the first person I saw do a 540.
Yeah, same, yeah.
And he'd bunny hop out of the reservoir into the pool. And not land on the transition.
Land on the flat. On the uphill or something.
Yeah, like break his ankles almost. I was like, man, this guy's like indestructible,
Yeah, he was a bit older than.
He was a bit older than you
as well when he was stocky, like man size. Yeah.
Strong. So, he picked me up and threw me head first in the pool.
Oh, really?
But when they filled it with water.
Oh, okay.
It was about 4 foot deep water.
Because he was from London, wasn't he? He was like from Camden area or somewhere.
I'm not sure. Yeah, somewhere in London. I don't know whereabouts exactly.
That name, he's legendary.
And then there was Billy Stupple and Dave Curry.
Yeah.
And then Neil came along out of nowhere, Neil Ruffell, and just like, whoa, hold on a minute. We've got some competition on our hands here.
So did Neil come into it in 83?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, 83. Yeah.
So early, yeah.
83, 84. A bit later than me.
Yeah.
Not far behind.
And did you know Billy Stupple and Dave Curry.
Yeah, I used to ride with Billy Stupple and Dave Curry because Dave Curry used to come down because he had a bit of a connection with California. He was one of the first like UK guys. Well, he probably was the first to go out to California. And I think maybe he was friends with Bob Morales or something.
Okay.
And he used to come down Rom and he'd have like all the cool shit. You know what I mean? Like wow, he's like totally tricked out bike, like cool clothing. We just used to me, Dave, and Billy Stupple used to ride together quite a lot, and Chris Young.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
Alice Temple.
She's been here.
Yeah, she's from this neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Or not from here, but from she still live around here, does she?
She came here probably 6 years ago or something.
Right.
I didn't just on the off chance. Yeah.
Well, she's West London girl, isn't she?
Yeah.
Initially.
Not Alice Temple, and she was like, she seemed cool actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
She does music and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't know
she's like a motorcycle tattooed up. Now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I didn't know she was into skatepark riding. I just thought she was a racer. Yeah,
she was a racer. She was number one, wasn't she?
Oh, so she got into the skatepark.
She used to come to Rom. She used to come to Rom just to go like do jumps and stuff.
The racetrack.
No, she probably did race around that track.
Okay.
And came there for that reason, but she used to come to Rom just to jump, like doing 360s out the reservoir. That was a big thing for a while, and then a bunch of us all started learning 360s at once.
Oh, good shit. So, did you ride a Pickett's Lock contest? Was that the first freestyle contest?
Yeah, I got second, I think. I think Andy Ruffell won it.
Oh, okay.
I think Andy Ruffell, and I got second. Yeah, that was a funny old competition, bunny hop competition.
Yeah, I've seen it online.
Craig Strong doing wheelies around in circles.
And what was like? How was that? Like,
well, it was just
how
all
did you
new.
Find out about that? Like,
it was. I don't know. I don't know how we used to find out about stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
before the internet, way before the internet. I don't know. Word gets around how it used to.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was a lot of people there. I suppose that was boom.
Yeah, it was the first big event, really.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was the first like freestyle contest in the UK, as far as I know, anyway.
Yeah, it was really.
You get a picture in the mag from that contest.
I got a picture doing a one-hander on the quarter pipe, and again the quarter pipe was ridiculous. In BMX Action bike.
I think I forgot it. Yeah. And then what was so? You were just what bike were you riding at Pickett's Lock? Like a Mongoose?
PK Ripper.
PK Ripper. Okay, so this is like the PK Ripper.
Yeah, the one that I was riding at Ron.
Okay. And then, so did you go to the Bob Haro thing at the NEC?
Yeah.
Okay, you was there as well?
Yeah, when they was all holding the quarter pipe.
That's it, yeah. So was that a demo or was that a contest as well?
It was a race, I think it was a race event, and Bob Haro was doing a demo.
There was no freestyle contest?
No, it wasn't a freestyle contest, just Bob Haro doing a demo.
All right. How was that?
I remember it being dusty, as it would be, a dirt track inside.
The indoor race, yeah.
And just, it was a real buzz. It was really exciting, because Bob Haro, basically.
Yeah. And that was the first time he'd been to the UK, I think, so.
Yeah, it was all very new and exciting.
And then Haro was after that, yeah? Must have been.
I guess it was...
same year.
Well, that would have been 83, so was that around the same time? I can't remember exactly if that was around the same time. If he came to Birmingham, was that a year before, maybe?
I think Birmingham was 83, yeah. But I'm thinking
maybe it was it the same trip when he came over and he did the Birmingham thing and the Haro skate park? I don't know.
I'm not sure about if it was the same trip or not, but because this is too early for me, so I've only got like magazines.
Well, they're quite distant memories for me. I'm sort of struggling a little bit.
So I think it was the same year because Haro was early. It wasn't 84, it was definitely 83.
Yeah, it was definitely 83.
So they had a contest at Haro for a Haro sponsorship.
Yeah. And Chris Young won, didn't he? Did I get second?
Was there two age groups?
Well, there was like Chris Young, Alice Temple and me.
Okay.
Were the three people that kind of won something. I mean, Alice didn't get a Haro sponsorship. Me and Chris did, I think.
Were you not in two different age groups or something?
Maybe that was it, yeah. Chris was a bit older.
Yeah, somebody told me that there was two age groups. and you won one and Chris won the other. But
Yeah.
like I say, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what happened, I think.
So, and what did that involve? Like how did they structure that event? Can you remember?
I think it was just kind of had like a sort of like a freestyle area with a bank and a kick turn ramp. Maybe they did a bit of flat land and a few kick turns. That was one part of it. And then there was a bowl, like a peanut bowl.
Yeah.
Which just, I don't know, jumps and stuff out of that, really. No one was really doing airs, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Airs back in. It was all jumping out, flyouts. I mean, the pool at Haro, you could do airs out of. It wasn't so, like much of a kick as like the one at Rom is.
Yeah. Peanut's quite mellow, isn't it? So, yeah, it's hard to air that, really.
But, I mean, Haro was very similar to Rom, wasn't it? It was built by the same people.
Yeah. So when you go, obviously the first time you met Bob Haro, did he do demo there as well?
Haro?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the competition he did a demo, yeah.
And what was like, they gave you a frame and a race jersey or something? Or
frame and fork set. And a race jersey. And I think the rest of the bike probably got built up at Rad City or something.
Okay.
I remember I had Z rims on it, or Z rims.
Yeah, I remember
for a while. Fucking things. Flex them when they're supposed to bend back, but they never did.
I think you was riding with them in that mag feature in Action.
Yeah, the dark side of the bowl thing.
Yeah, the Z rims on there. And so did you have contact with someone from Haro after you got that, or was you kind of just like, there's your frame and fork and?
I don't really know. It's kind of like, there's your frame and fork, get on with it.
Yeah, go and do us a favour.
But that didn't last that long because Skyway came along.
Yeah.
Not long after.
So
I can't remember what the time period was. I don't know if it was 6 months or a year or something like that.
Yeah, because by '84 you were fully Skyway, weren't you?
Yeah.
So then you did the feature like Dark Side of the Bowl on that Haro, yeah. And I remember that was the winter because that was one of the. It was all dark when it had all the lights and stuff. So then, it must be the next year. You must have ended up on Skyway.
Yeah, and that's when it all started with like the UK BFA competitions and the touring around the country, doing loads of shows, bike shops.
Yeah, but could you see like a change of direction as like say 82, 83, the kids are just doing their thing, and in '84 it seemed to sort of get taken over by sort of adults basically, and they kind of steered it in another direction. I mean, even at that age, I wasn't particularly that happy with it because that's young, yeah.
Because I mean, I think there was a period where they were making people do compulsory tricks, and that's a total contradiction to freestyle itself. You know what I mean? Because surely freestyle is an expression of yourself, right? And you're getting told you must do this. But I mean, it's like Colin Kefford, he was a school teacher, headmaster of the school, so they kind of had that mentality, but whereas we were a bit more. Well, I mean, I was always a bit rebellious, I suppose. That was kind of. I was made to be more conformist with the whole Skyway thing, and be part of that whole establishment. But that's not really what it was all about.
Okay.
So that's why I'm always fond of like '83 at Rom. Really.
Yeah, before it all.
And then like '87 when it got interesting for me.
Yeah. So how did you end up on Skyway? Like, what was the process of that? Because this is they didn't even have a freestyle bike at that point, did they?
No, it was a TA. Which was a race bike, so kind of great in the skate park for airs, but not much good for flatland. And I've gone from Haro freestyle, it was really good for that. But I was more into the airs and stuff anyway, so it kind of suited me. I don't know, I just got approached. I can't remember exactly how it came about, the Skyway. I was getting a lot of attention, so it didn't take much.
Makes sense, yeah. Who else was on the team at that point? Do you remember?
Skyway?
Yeah.
It was me, Billy Stupple and Paul Hudson.
Okay.
It was more of a flatland rider really than a ramp rider. Me and Billy were more ramp riders really.
Yeah.
And then then we're moving on to far forward, and then Pro Light happened in 85.
Yeah, we'll get to that as well. I'm interested in that one. Did you ever run the Skyway platform?
Oh, that thing. I did. But
from what you told me, like that at that point in time, you being like whatever you were, 13 or 14, you must have been like, what the fuck is this?
I was a bit, what the fuck is this? I did run it, but I never really liked it, to be honest. I thought it was a bit of a, daft idea.
Yeah. Did they?
It was, I don't know, it just looked a bit stupid, I thought.
Did they sort of try and prompt you to run that, or was that just like,
it was a Skyway product, so I was riding for Skyway.
So you just rode everything Skyway?
But I don't remember having one for very long.
Okay.
I must have, I don't know, it was just heavy, It's like, we were running coaster brakes as well, and that made the bike really heavy. Because I had two bikes, I had a flatland bike and a ramp bike, the coaster brake for flat and a freewheel for ramps.
Didn't you have that in a TA as well as the street beagle later on?
Or did I have two back wheels? Maybe I had a freewheel, just a different back wheel that I used to switch over. And
I know that at a later date
when I had two Pro Lights, a flatland with a coaster and a ramp bike with a freewheel.
Okay.
Spoiled.
Did you do the first Skyway tour? Was it with Andy Patterson? I think it was.
No, I remember seeing Andy Patterson ride at Birmingham Wheels BMX track.
Okay.
They had a quarter pipe there, and actually he was doing 360s to fakie on a quarter pipe, and that impressed me. He was a big guy, wasn't he? Big racing guy.
Yeah. Was you not on the team at that point?
No, that was just like before. 82 or something.
Oh, that was really early.
Yeah, that was. I think. Yeah, because I was racing at that point.
Oh, okay.
So that probably was 82.
I've got some pictures of the sequence of him doing that 360 and landing fakie. What about when did the TV appearances start?
Well, we did one that I still quite like actually is me and Neil Ruffell did one down at South Bank for that kids program. I think it's called Magpie.
That's it, yeah.
And Neil was really good in that. I was always impressed by the way he spoke in that. That was quite a funny little one. Still, I think it's probably on YouTube.
It's on the YouTube, yeah, because it's dead of winter, wasn't it? Completely like as deep into winter as you could get. So Neil joined the Skyway team in 84.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that so?
And then the big TV thing was BMX Week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which was 84.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because I worked in the Skyway.
I've seen like some not weird, but like TVAM and stuff like that, like shows of the Skyway team, like pre-Neil. So it's like
I'm sure there were probably a few bits and bobs like
Chris
that.
Young maybe as well.
Yeah, I can't really remember exactly. But yeah, I remember that South Bank one, but I'm sure there was a few little short videos on like the 6 o'clock news. And things like that.
I've seen recently, or over the last couple of years, seen like real obscure ones that I didn't know existed, and one of them was you guys riding again in the dead of winter in like next to a football pitch or something with a quarter pipe and a trick ramp, and it's like it's for one of the breakfast TV shows. I can't remember which one, but yeah, I remember not seeing that before. So then in 84 again, it was King of the Skate Parks, right? Which you won. Yeah. I was there. I was actually there for that. What was that like, that event? Because that seemed, to me as a kid, that seemed like a real big deal, like King of the Skate Park.
It was a big deal. I won all of it. I think I kind of like questioned that actually. But maybe I was just really flavour of the month, and I kind of like was slightly biased towards me, because I was just kind of interested in the performance bowl, really. You know what I mean? But they did like the flatland bit in the reservoir, and the kick turn ramp and quarter pipe they had in there. But I won that as well. You know what I mean? I won the flatland, the ramps, the trick ramps, whatever, and the bowl. I've got 3 metal plates.
Up.
I've still got them.
Nice. Who else was riding that? Can you remember? I remember. So this is a point that I remember certain bits of that day. I remember Dave Curry being like sketchy, but like a real crowd pleaser on them.
Yeah,
quarters.
he would go for stuff. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Give him that.
Like land all over the place. And I also remember like Marco doing a 540, which I've never been knew was a thing. And obviously you guys riding the performance, and Neil Ruffell, because I've never heard that name before. So Neil Ruffell was like suddenly, it's Andy Ruffell's brother. And he kind of had a coming out at that.
Did he? He rode at not 84 Rom?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, I've got some pictures of him in one of the mags, not Action Bike, I don't think, because I don't think I covered it. But
because I seem to remember like Billy, Dave Curry, Glyn Lewis.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Glyn Lewis.
I don't know, a few others. Marco, obviously.
Stupple was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Neil was definitely there. Yeah, Jess was there as well. Yeah, he won Phase 7. Yeah. Had you met? You must have met Jess before at Rom, right? Because he was a local.
I'm pretty sure I met Jess at Rom.
Yeah.
Because Jess was good at Rom.
Yeah.
He's got huge at the Performance Bowl.
I remember him being one of the names. Yeah. And there was other guys from like Surrey, like Ralph Tribe and Tony Mckenzie.
Well, all that lot. Yeah. Damon, Tony, and Steve Baldry and Jason Lunn. I don't know if Jason Lunn was with him at that point. Ralph Tribe, yeah. Yeah, there was that crew. Who else? I don't know.
Biff, he used to go there.
Biff, yeah, I was going to say Biff. Yeah.
But yeah, that I remember that day, and Ralph Tribe and those guys were riding in practice, but they didn't ride the contest. I don't know why, but they seemed to be pretty good, and they just didn't even enter. Yeah, I remember that. That was a good contest. And then like after that would have been like you kind of just rolled straight into whole shot, right?
Yeah, whole shot.
It was called something else though, right? It's British Champs or something.
Yeah, I mean that was a big deal. It seems a real. That was. It seemed like a bigger event than the UK BFA competitions. You know what I mean? It was, and I think it was around around Christmas time as well. So it kind of had that atmosphere, you know. I won that. Rode to Ghostbusters, I think.
I'll tell you what year it is, definitely.
Ghostbusters.
And how was that event? Was that like a... I didn't go to that one, so I don't know what that was like, but I remember it was like billed as maybe the British Freestyle Champs or something. Yeah. But I don't know, other than the pictures in the mags, I don't know anything about it. I know Stupple, he seemed to like...
Was that the one where Biff jumped out the quarter pipe and tried to jump up on the balcony? That was the year after or later one?
Yeah, 1 or 2 years after, yeah. So I remember there was a picture of Stupple in like Action Bike something, and he was saying how he wasn't into it or something. But then like there was a picture of you, I think, doing like a frame stand fakie maybe, right, on one of the quarters. Yeah, and you won that. Yeah, that event. So 84 was a pretty big year for.
Yeah, I'd all of a sudden hit the big time, I suppose.
Yeah.
84.
You won King of the Skate Parks and Whole Shot, so they're the two big events in a year.
So I was flavour of the month.
Can you remember any other contests that happened that year? Was there one at Rom like real early in 84?
There was... No, I think it was only one contest at Rom, but no, in 84.
I see. I've got a magazine feature of like an early one in 84. I don't know what it was.
I mean, they used to have BMX race meetings there.
Okay.
Which I wasn't that happy about. I mean, I think I probably raced in a few of them, but I wasn't happy at the fact that all the mud was coming into the skate park, blocking up all the drains. And I was like, what's going on? You know, like, come on. You're ruining my fun, you know what I mean? You've got a BMX track, and not only have you got a BMX track, which is bad enough, the mud coming in, you've got you took the fence down so they can come straight from the track straight into the skate park.
Because people used to jump onto the track, didn't they, from the bowl?
It was full of mud. The skate park was full of mud. It was like, oh, for God's sake.
So when you was riding, like, say this is 84 and you've won all the big events and you're on Skyway, like, was you looking at stuff like this is what I want to be doing, or was you looking at stuff like I wish this would be like going another way. Like, what was your view on it at that point in time?
Well, it was all new, so I kind of thought, well, this is just the sort of progression of the way things go. I mean, I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't until I'd been involved with the sort of corporate Skyway thing for a few years that I started to get sick of it, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, you know, there's got to be sort of something else. You know, something else has got to happen, really.
Yeah.
You know, because I can't really see this carrying on like the way it is. You know.
And what? So was that? Would 85 comes round? How soon did the Pro Light thing happen? And what was that?
Well, that just kind of came out of the blue because it was Pro Light was being distributed by the same people that Freewheeler Leisure Products were distributing. They had like Bianchi race bikes, you know, road racing bikes. They were distributing Skyway, and I guess they had this Pro Light brand as well, which was kind of a cheaper brand. And I don't know who kind of orchestrated it, but I suppose they kind of came up with the idea of like, well, okay, well, we've got Craig Campbell, we've got this Pro Light brand, maybe we could make something happen with this, you know what I mean? But because they already had the Pro Light bike,
complete bike,
but then they had my version of it, which was kind of I mean, I just thought of the Haro Freestyler and the PK Ripper, you know what I mean? So I just wanted kind of, and that, it is a little bit of a fusion of the two because it's got the PK Ripper loop tail on the back, but the rest of the bike is quite similar to a Haro Freestyler. You know?
They had like Pro Light was like a complete bike company, right? At first,
yeah.
And then did they make race frames and stuff, or no?
They were just kind of cheap sort of all-round BMX bikes.
Okay.
You know,
I'm sure I had a friend who had a Pro Light like early days, like a complete bike. It was white, I think.
But the model before mine is pretty similar to my one. It's just the dropouts are different more than anything.
They already had a freestyle bike.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't even really know that either. And it wasn't up until recently that I actually saw one of the original frames and looked at it and thought, God, it's pretty similar to my model, apart from the dropouts.
Yeah, I had one of the original ones. Yeah, I had your one, and after that I had the original one. So I thought that frame was based off of a Street Beat, but it's pre-Street Beat.
Pre-Street Beat, yeah.
So
the Street Beat was quite similar.
Yeah, I thought I thought that the Pro Light was the copy of the Street Beat all these years. That's amazing.
The Street Beat was 86.
So yeah,
or it was certainly after,
or late 85.
Well, because I went from a TA to a Pro Light to a Street Beat.
Okay, can you remember like what sort of time of year that Pro Light thing happened?
It was 85, pretty much most of 85. I can't really put dates on it. I don't know.
And what did they treat you like? Like what was the deal? Like did they?
Well, it was the same as riding Skyway. Same as riding the Skyway, but I was just riding Pro Light because we were doing shows together. We were doing shows with Skyway. You know, there was only me and Carlo were riding Pro Lights.
Okay.
And we were doing shows with the Skyway team.
Oh man, yeah, I didn't know any of this stuff. Yeah.
So it's the same sort of setup, really. We just had different bikes.
Yeah.
You know.
So nothing changed. They didn't give you any extra benefits for having like your name on that frame, or?
Well, I made a bit of money.
Okay.
But not much.
Yeah.
Someone made a few quid out of it because it was a top-selling frame in 1985. I didn't make that much.
Yeah, I remember it was adverts in every mag, like.
You know, paid for a few trips to California or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And what was beyond?
Oh, don't really start. Yeah, another crap sponsorship deal just for the money.
Okay.
Basically, you know, it was a computer software company. You know, I was just like, what's this all about? You know, I've got to wear these stupid beyond challenging software patches. Like, I thought that was stupid. Even back then, I thought that's stupid. Dad, why do you want challenging software? You want software that makes things easy, don't you? Not something that's going to give you an headache. You know what I mean? Challenging software. I thought that was daft. And yeah, we had to you know, to basically wear the logo because they were paying, you know, for the advertising.
Yeah, it went hand in hand. I just always wondered what it was. I never knew what it was.
And then there was another one, wasn't there? The White Rabbit.
I don't even know what that was.
It was a bicycle pump, right? That was sort of resembled a rabbit, and it was called White Rabbit, right? White Rabbit bicycle pump. And we got a sponsorship, and I had to run a White Rabbit bicycle pump on my bike for this. This would have been 85, I think.
Oh, I think
I
might have seen
it on
that,
my pro light. And again, I was just like, what is this? You know what I mean? It's like, obviously having to do it, just not asking any questions really, just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was all for the money, wasn't it? I don't know if someone was making a few quid off of it, or it was just basically financing, the expenses.
So at this point in time, you're starting to question things. Like 85 is like a breakthrough year for like, what is this?
I was starting to get sucked into stuff that I thought, this is not really me, you know what I mean?
Interesting. And BMX Beat was the year before. You rode BMX Beat, one BMX Beat, obviously, with the other two big things that happened. So that's all three big things in 84. Was that just like, oh, this is what happens and this is what I do?
Yeah, well, that's kind of all we had and all we knew, really. It wasn't until a bit later when I started seeing another way of going about things and being influenced by skateboarding.
Another look, yeah.
That I thought, right, okay, it's time for a change here.
Yeah. Well, was you on the Curb Dogs tour that came to the UK in 84?
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was just cool to hang out with those guys, because they were coming from, they were pretty advanced, They were coming with all these new tricks, especially all these flatland tricks they were doing. The Curb Dogs, because they used to ride to Golden Gate Park, didn't they?
Yeah.
So a real scene there. And so they kind of brought all that over. It was all like, yeah, this is great, it's all fresh and new,
It was like thrashy, wasn't it? It was like
yeah, and it had early elements of that skate influence because obviously Vander was a skater as well, and he used to hang out with all the skaters and stuff. So, that was kind of like sort of a little kind of like start of the.
That was your first nugget. Of like
nugget, whatever you want to call it.
Things could be
a little spark.
Yeah,
so that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that from looking from where I was as a youngster. I was like, these guys are doing something different. Like, it did gain quite a bit of coverage as well. To be fair,
because of course you had Vander. I mean, the Vander roll.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone loved that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was just like, hold on a minute, the guy's doing like a somersault or something on a bike. I mean, when I first got told about that, I was just I couldn't quite work out what he was actually doing. You know what I mean? Until I saw him do it. Had
you heard stories about that before he came?
Yeah, because we got told. We got told. Right, we've got these American guys coming over from San Francisco. Right, they've got all these like new cutting edge ground tricks and stuff that you've never seen before. And this one guy does a somersault on the ground on his bike, and we were just like, he does a somersault, what? And so we didn't quite. I thought, what did he just run? He just rides and slams on his front brake or something. It just flips over. That's kind of what I imagined. But no, he actually rolled it over on his back, didn't he? But yeah, I never really did Van rolls. I think I tried them a few times.
I think you're probably one of the few who didn't because everyone else was like in on it, weren't they? But it seemed like when those guys went from the UK on that and the coverage had been done, that was kind of like it went just straight back to normal, didn't it? It went straight back to like how it was, like BFA stuff and that. Like it didn't linger much.
No, it stuck with me for sure. I mean, Vander was a big influence. I mean, he was one of the originals, street riding originals for sure.
Yeah. Well, because all those guys came from the States.
And plus, he could ride combi pool and shit as well.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
it.
So
Yeah.
in my eyes, he was like, these guys are cool.
So how did the Pro Light end? Like, what ended Pro Light?
Well, there's a few stories floating about Pro Light. About it was a bit of a little bit crooked.
Okay.
I can't say exactly, but I've heard money laundering.
All right.
Allegedly.
Okay. Well, were they made here?
But don't. I mean, that's just what I've heard.
Yeah, no, it's just rumours. Yeah.
Rumour. They were. Yeah, they were, I don't know. I think they were made in England.
Because I've heard.
I don't know if it was made in Taiwan or something.
This is the story I've heard: is that your ones were made here, and the other ones were made in Taiwan. So your one was 530 or 531, or one of them English kind of
4130 was it or something?
4130 is the American
right.
and the Taiwanese one.
Right.
And your one was Reynolds. Yeah, Reynolds tubing.
Right.
Yeah, somebody was putting that out online like recently.
Yeah, I think that was British.
I thought that was quite interesting. Like. But as you just explained it.
But it was a bit of I was kept in the dark a bit about what the real deal was, I think. You know what I mean? I kind of didn't care that much, I suppose. I was just kind of getting given everything I needed. So I just kind of didn't ask any questions. I mean, why would you really? But it was a bit dodgy the way it kind of seemed like, all of a sudden it was like number one selling frame from 1985, and then it just disappeared.
It was gone, yeah. It
just put a stop to it, you know what I mean? So, and another reason was that Skyway, being a big corporate company, had the money to finance a team, whereas ProLite was a smaller company that just had like 2 riders. Like, well, I guess it was Nick Jeffries, of course. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Carlo Griggs and Nick Jeffries. So I don't know the exact truth behind it, really.
Yeah. It just.
But recently, I heard about they were a bit dodgy, three-wheeler leisure products.
Okay.
Apparently.
Are they still going? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh. So you rode King of Skateparks Southsea on the ProLite. That was ProLite days, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what was that contest like?
Southsea competition. Yeah, it was pretty intense. I mean, me and Neil Ruffell really going at it. You couldn't have hit that thing any faster. You know what I mean? You saw how big we were going out of it. Yeah. Even though it was off a tombstone, it was still, pretty nice. What we were doing. It was big, wasn't it, for back then? And I kind of thought I won it, to be honest.
Oh, you didn't win that one?
Neil won.
Oh, okay.
I remember being a bit pissed off about it. But, it was close,
Do you think there was, like, in the media, there was like a...
But maybe there was a backlash on me, maybe.
Was there? Is that what you...
We're sick of him now. We've got the new kid on the block.
We got the new guy that we're going to... Yeah.
We're going to vote for him.
Was there like a Neil versus Craig at that point?
There was a little bit going on, I suppose, of that. But we used to ride together.
Yeah, I remember.
We used to practice together. I mean, he used to come to my house in Essex, ride my ramps in Essex, and we'd ride Rom and stuff. And
so you were like proper teammates when you was on Skyway?
Yeah, there wasn't some sort of like real bad rivalry or anything. You know what I mean? But maybe the media portrayed it like that a bit. I think Dave Curry portrayed it a bit like that.
Okay.
He used to write a bit of shit about me.
I remember.
Put crap folk. The comparison thing, who won it? You saw that in Action Bike, which is like, okay, put a picture of me doing half-ass bar gut leave or whatever you used to call it, and a perfect one of Neil, you know what I mean, and then say that mine was rubbish. I mean, maybe it's true, you know what I mean, but
all you need to do is take the photo at the wrong time.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah, and stitch someone up with it. Yeah. I don't know.
And how was it riding with Neil? Like when he first got on Skyway?
Yeah, it's good because we both pushed each other. We're both all pretty much doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he was better extending than me. He was good. He's seen his big one big 1 hour footers. But most stuff we were doing pretty much on a level. Pretty much doing the same tricks.
Yeah, it was quite I guess maybe he took Stupple's place. Maybe is that what happened there?
Yeah, I guess he kind of did.
Because I remember that was a good with you two both on Skyway. It was like a badass team. Yeah, that was a good stage, I thought. So ProLite ended. Did you ever ride?
Well, it's not so much like he took Stupple's place, but I don't think Stupple didn't get on with the team manager.
Oh, okay.
As I didn't in the end.
Okay. So, but Stupple did quit, and then Neil went on. But yeah, I suppose they had a space there.
Yeah, Neil didn't get on with him either.
Okay. So it's running.
In fact, I think Neil got sacked off of Skyway after Southsea.
Oh, really? So he wins Southsea and then gets fired.
And gets fired because the team manager, I don't know, wasn't happy about it or what did. But they weren't. They never really saw eye to eye anyway. I don't think. But I mean, I never really saw eye to eye with him either, you know what I mean? Did anybody?
And he was the main operations guy. He was Peter Hawkins, right?
Yeah.
And he oversaw everything,
Yeah.
Did he oversee the ProLite thing then, or?
He was running. He was kind of running it all. He
okay.
He was running everything. I mean, he was organising it and doing the deals and managing the team and trying to. He had his vision about BMX.
Yeah.
And I had mine. No, it didn't quite connect.
Because you're coming.
Maybe for a little while, 84 and that.
Because you're coming of age now, aren't you? You're kind of like growing up.
Once I started realising what he could be, and he kind of had no idea. Because I mean, he wanted to like outlaw street riding initially when we started doing all that stuff, and I didn't quite understand it. You know what I mean? It's like because he had this nice controlled competition environment, sports hall kind of thing going on.
Ice skating almost.
And all of a sudden we're riding up walls out in the street and we're all into that. You know what I mean? And it was like, what's going on?
Losing control of it,
yeah.
And he wanted to control it at that point.
Of course, yeah.
So this is quite a good lead into the Mons Jam thing. Was you there for that?
Yeah, well, this was all the rebellious stuff that started happening that I started getting excited about, but was prevented from getting involved with by him, Hawkins, because again, he wanted it his way, and I was like thinking, no, this is the way it should be. You know what I mean? These half pipe competition, street riding. You know what I mean? This is BMX. He used to. I mean, no one really liked him at those events. Chingford and Mons ramp jams were to me the best two events, and he was trying to stop me from going to them.
Okay. Well, the Mons Jam was the 85 Mons Jam. I've seen pictures of like indoor quarter pipes. And then they had an outdoor half pipe as well. I think Jess won the highest air at that one.
Indoor quarter pipes.
It was in like one of the barns.
Oh yeah, it probably did. Yeah.
Maybe this is.
I mean, for me, it was just about the outdoor half pipe.
So you guys went to that. I've heard a story where he took the Skyway team to the event, but then he stopped everyone from riding or something.
Yeah, because like all the skaters and stuff started taking the piss out of him, and it all got a bit heated.
Okay.
And he kind of threw his toys out the cot.
And he drove you guys back, or what's the story?
I think he probably did. Pack your shit up, we're going. I think
that's the story I heard. Yeah,
kind of what happened. I think. And we were probably, or myself, I was probably feeling. Oh, it's just slightly embarrassing, you know what I mean? Because like the cool stuff that I'm interested in, I'm being dragged away from. You know what I mean?
Yeah, stop from doing it from something.
And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of the end, really, of me and him. Really.
Okay.
Once that shit started happening.
All right, and then, so because the event still happened, didn't it? It was in the mag, like Andy Shahara, Jess, and those guys. But I guess you guys did you not even see the event? I guess if he made you all leave. But.
Yeah, and it was the same story with Chingford as well. I don't think I was allowed to go to the Chingford Jam. I really wanted the other one with.
I was there
a bit later when Dean Rush smashed his face.
Yeah.
Up.
That was 86. So there was another Mons Jam, wasn't there? That was the year after when things really kicked off, and it was like they were burnt their UK BFA licenses and stuff. That was in the mag.
Yeah,
that was the year
after. Just Nick Phillips probably, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, pretty funny. But let me go back to Pro Light for a minute because you went to Pipeline Skate Park.
Yeah,
and Road King of skate parks.
Yeah.
How was that?
Mind blowing, to say the least.
I watched it the other day.
It's I'd gone from what I thought was a skate park, Romford, right, to all of a sudden Pipeline, right, a completely different ball game. You know what I mean? It's like I might as well have been a complete beginner. You know, all those years of riding Rom meant nothing to ride Pipeline. You know what I mean? It was a completely different technique of riding. You know, we didn't have what we thought was vert.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Not even close. You know what I mean? It's like that pipe bowl. And the combi pool even more so, you know, just like ridiculous amount of vert, you know, and quite tight transitions, you know, like that pipe bowl. I don't think it's really a perfect transition. I think it's a bit elliptical. Like there's not much to land on.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of vert. It's 2 foot of vert or whatever, and just not much land on. So you've got to be precise. You know, you've got to float out that thing, and you've got to land right at the top, Blyther style. You know, really.
Yeah.
To be able to ride it, you know. And because we were riding like performance bowl, where you're kind of pulling off and you kind of got all this movement, you know, where room for error. You don't have really room for error at Pipeline. You know what I mean? You have to be spot on.
You have to just ride straight out.
Yeah, and I couldn't ride it. It took me 3 days to be able to ride it. It was like starting riding. It was starting from scratch again. And I don't particularly like saying this, but Neil Ruffell couldn't ride it.
That's the story I heard.
And that's people are always like, well, why aren't there no fighters and Neil Ruffell at wrong? I saw it pipeline. Because he couldn't ride it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't ride it either. But eventually, I think the day before the competition, somehow I managed to get my head around it.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Because I think from that event as well, like one of the best pictures is that Can-Can-X, like with the green skyways. Like,
yeah, and everyone loved that because it was new. No one had seen it.
That's what I was going to ask you.
No one had seen it.
That was the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I was doing them, but I kept it quiet.
All right.
I learned them on my quarter pipe in Rayleigh. And I thought, I've got a new trick. No one knows about this yet. And then what a place to showcase it.
Yeah. Oh man, badass. Yeah. So was there a contest in the combi pool as well, or that was just like in the background?
There was a competition at combi pool, but I didn't go to that.
That was earlier.
I think maybe before I don't know. It was around that time, but there was another competition where it was just combi pool.
Okay.
But that thing was just ridiculous, man. I mean, I rode it. I did a few little airs out of it, but that was like, I think the round bowl, the round pool had like about 3 foot, and the square pool had like 4 foot, I think.
Yeah, that's the story. Yeah. How long was that trip to California?
Just a couple of weeks, I think. Yeah.
How was that? Was that your first time riding there?
It was great. It was all really exciting. First time to America.
You go to any other skate parks?
Del Mar.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Yeah, one night went down there, evening session, just a few hours. That was it, and then it wasn't long after that it got demolished. I don't know, maybe it was about 3 years or so afterwards. But I didn't go back there. I didn't go back to California until '88.
That's the one with the long half pipe, Del Mar.
Yeah.
So,
that was cool. I would have liked to have ridden it more because that half pipe was cool. And it was nice. Yeah, because it's so long.
Yeah.
And if you could air both ways, you could all the way down it like that. But no one used to do it. I don't know. I guess probably people were doing that, but most people used to air just one way back in those days.
Go around the circle, yeah. I remember Fiola always said, both ways down that thing. Otherwise, you just had to keep going round. Yeah, but that was early. Yeah. So, who did you meet in that? Like when you went to compete in that contest, like did you hang out with the other riders and that? Or
pipeline?
Yeah. Because all the big shots were there, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I just got to meet them for like the first time and that. I didn't really practice with them. I practiced, before the competition. But it's not like I'd been riding pipeline much before that. Well, I hadn't. I mean, I was there for like 3 or 4 days before the competition.
We did a fence plant as well. Man, I watched it the other night. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That fence plant. That was nice doing that. It's I had to do that. I saw
that was like locals trick.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, Blyther was doing them, and I think I watched. Eventually I do. I mean, not that difficult. I mean, I don't know. I guess it is quite difficult, but not as difficult as I thought it would be.
It looked pretty gnarly. Yeah, it looked quite deep when you went back into.
But it's just the way it's set up. You kind of carve through the pipe and just up onto the fence. It's got a real nice fluid flow to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looked like you were alley-ooping out of the full pipe as well into that hip part as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked good. So yeah, that was like winter of '85.
Yeah, I think it was October. I think it might have been October.
Okay, and then like '86, you didn't ride that whole shot, did you? The '85 one. Wilkerson was over, I think, and Rich Segura.
No, I did. I rode the '84 one. Then was it '85, '86, '87?
I think there was 4.
There was 4 of them.
Yeah, there was 4.
Because I rode the first one and the '87 one.
Okay.
So I don't know about the two in between. 85, 86, I can't remember.
85 was Wilkerson. They had like the ramp with the
I don't know why I didn't ride that.
That's what I was going to ask you. I think it wasn't that one.
Unless if I was injured, maybe. Or
I think that might have been the one that Pepi won.
Right.
And Neil maybe come second. And there was like a bit of a thing in the mag, like.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago, man. So then we're in '86 and we're back on Skyway.
Yeah.
How did that How did that work out?
Well, I mean, I was quite happy about the street beat. I quite like the street beat. You know, going from the pro light to the street beat, it was cool. Yeah, it was just more of the same, really. I mean, pretty much that whole period of when I first got on Skyway 84 up to sort of like the end of 86, it was pretty much the same story, you know. I just went through from the TA to the pro light to the street beat. But what I was doing, the competitions and then doing the shows at bike shops and stuff, it was all pretty much the same sort of stuff. And it wasn't until sort of towards the end of 86 that street riding started coming out. And then 87 was when things really started changing.
Yeah.
And then 88 when they started competitions.
Yeah, it was full blown.
Yeah.
So 86 is when you did basically all the BFA contests.
Yeah.
Like you won them.
Yeah.
You won that year.
I won that series. Yeah.
Okay.
86.
And who was like the main competition for you that year? Neil. And who? Do you remember who else was it? Was it Glyn Lewis maybe that year? I'm trying to think of who else was in 86.
Well, my main competition was Neil, but there were other riders. You know, I mean, you know, I guess, Jess.
Jess wasn't big on the BFA contest thing, though, right?
Not really. No, not. I mean, you had Terry Jenkins.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, Eric was doing some great stuff. You know, progressive stuff.
Yeah.
540s and hand plants.
Yeah. Was it? I've heard the story.
Pepi Winder.
Of Eric pulling the hand plant in the pool at Rom.
Yeah, that's when he first did them.
Is that right? That's a real story?
Yeah. He I don't know if he landed one-footed or something like that.
I was thinking maybe
I never saw it, but he told me. Well, that little interview that I did with Dave Nuri.
Yeah.
Eric mentioned that.
He was kind of saying the dynamic to the pool is like.
Yeah, because it kind of had that kind of real scoopy.
Yeah.
I mean, is it oververt or is it just
oververt,
slightly? You know,
it's well oververt. Dangerous. That was what I was going to ask you. The downside foot plant.
Yeah.
That was like. Well, how did that come about?
Yeah, downside foot plant. Well, that was a big thing for me.
On the backboard at Southsea, like.
That was later, but the initial foot, just the inverted foot plant.
Yeah.
Started in the performance bowl at Rom. So I was doing them at the 1984 competition.
That's right.
But everyone loved that because again, it was something really like fresh, new looking. It was like almost like upside down. Well, it kind of was upside down. It was the first time we could kind of get upside down on a bike before flips. But that came from probably looking in BMX Action. There was Hugo Gonzales was doing them, but I think the first guy that was doing them was Dale Perez at Pipeline. There was, who were those two guys? I think the other guy was named Rodney Eastman, if I remember correctly. Dale Perez and Rodney Eastman, and they used to ride a side hack.
Oh, I've seen the
in
pictures.
Pipeline.
Yeah, okay.
And that one guy, Dale Perez, I think he was the first person to do inverted foot plants.
Okay.
I must have seen it in BMX Action or something. And because the people was doing foot plants on banks and stuff, but no one was doing them on vert in England. And I think I was the first person to do that basically in England.
Because that was it
became my signature trick.
That's it. Yeah.
I can still do them.
So you put your sort of own style on that, yeah. Because it was kind of like the bars were crossed up more and the bike was.
And then I took it a bit further with the foot slap board at Southsea. Start doing them on that.
But that wasn't. That was like for me watching that. Like when I watched it a few years back, being like, "What the fuck is downside foot plant in the foot slap board?" There was never sort of no one made a thing of it back then. It was just like.
I know. I was quite impressed with myself with that. I was like, "That's a pretty cool move." You know what I mean? I've got a great photo of it.
It took years for like that trick to take off, but like it was already big. You I think Neil was doing it as well, was he?
Yeah, Neil. Yeah, he wasn't doing as good as me, but he started doing them.
So like two massively groundbreaking tricks. None of the media even like picked up on it. I was really shocked. I was like, "Fuck!" I didn't realise these guys were doing it. I'd heard rumours that you guys had done it at that contest, but then when that video came up and I saw it, I was like. Yeah, pretty like mind blowing, really, to think 85 there was people doing that, which was advanced when it like fly out downside foot.
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of a sort of quite a modern trick for even these days, isn't it?
And in a big bowl like that as well. Like, it wasn't just like a 3 foot quarter pipe or something.
Yeah, that bowl, man. God knows how we used to do that out of there, that thing.
So, did you learn it at that contest, or had you done it before somewhere else?
I learned it at that competition. I must have looked because I didn't have it. Didn't have anything.
That's what I thought.
That foot slap was house. It was unique. You know what I mean? So it was the only place you could do it. I must have invented it just before the competition.
That's what I assumed. Yeah. Good going.
And then a little while later, I was doing it with Jess's ramp on a tree.
The one built into the platform.
Yeah. Or the ramp built around the tree.
Has anyone got a photo of that one?
I've got a photo of that.
Oh, fucking sick.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. It's well, you can see it's good enough picture, but Jess took the photo and he didn't. I guess he didn't expect me to go quite so high, and so it's a bit half of it's kind of in the dark, and half of it's in the flash, so it's a bit of a half and half picture, but you can still sort of see what I'm doing. You know.
Is that from the leaves on the trees, like overhanging or something, or just the flash didn't reach you?
Jess is on the flat bottom.
Oh, okay.
Taking it up.
And you also had the interview in Action Bike where you was doing like the rocket air on your own half pipe in the backyard.
Yeah, well, there's a kind of like, did Wilkerson invent it or did I invent it?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
You know? Well, Wilkerson did different to me. I mean, Wilkerson used to do them like a no footer and kick his legs back. Right. I started trying them like that, but wasn't really happy with it. I couldn't quite get what I wanted out of it. So I thought, well, I wonder what happens, right, if you kind of stick one foot on the back peg as you go up the transition, right? And people say, oh yeah, you're bloody cheating. You know what I mean? But it made for a completely different air. Because of your weight, the way your weight was centred on the bike, you could kind of, I mean, because if you look at, Wilson's like rocket airs, it's kind of like, he's kind of in that position where he's kicking his legs back. Whereas if you look at when I stood on the peg, it kind of made, I don't know, it came in like this. Yeah.
You're more like the skateboard version.
So it made it a bit more like what Christian Assoy was doing on his skateboard, which is where I got the idea from.
I did hear them stories that you went up with 1 foot on and 1 foot off, because the crank set is like...
And I kind of always thought to myself, people must think, he's cheating, you know what I mean, he's not doing it properly. But I thought, no, I'm going to stick doing it like this because they look better in photographs. Yeah,
you do freestyle, wasn't it? You do your own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that. Yeah, what was that interview? Was that interview like a turning point for you? Like, was you starting to roll the other way by this point?
Yeah, that was the end of '86. Was starting to get interested in street riding and just was sick of the Skyway team manager, Peter Hawkins. Basically, didn't see eye to eye at all. And so it was just rebellion time, basically. An anarchic adjustment slotted into that perfectly because it was like rebel clothing.
Yeah,
it was all about being anarchic.
So, and you're hanging out with Nick and Jess at this point. You're riding Jess's ramp.
Riding Jess's half pipe and riding South Bank, street riding Wednesday nights at South Bank.
And that was the three of you guys, yeah.
Yeah, and there'll be a few other of Jess's friends, but mainly me, Jess, and Nick.
Did you ever ride Jess's when you just had the quarter, or was it just the half pipe?
No.
Okay. No, interesting. Yeah, so then you come into like '87, which was like suddenly you, from the public eye, from our perception. I mean, we used to see you at Chingford quite often. That's what I wanted to ask you as well. Like, when did you start going to Chingford? Because you went early there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how we caught wind of Chingford, but we. As soon as I went, I was like, "Oh, this is great. This is much more me." You know what I mean? And Paul White was cool.
Yeah, Paul was cool. Yeah,
became mates with Paul.
You didn't know Paul from BMX because he used to ride BMX.
Well, I probably maybe met him at ROM beforehand because he rode BMX for about a year.
That's
I think.
Right. Yeah.
About '82. I think.
Yeah. It was early. Yeah.
He rode BMX. He used to ride Goofy. I always remember he used to ride Goofy.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I guess maybe he skateboarded as well, but then kind of tried BMX for a little bit, but skateboarding was his thing.
Yeah, well, I think that those guys, they got into roller skating, and I think he skated in the '70s, got into BMX, then they all started roller skating at like little scene, and then it weren't long and they started skateboarding. But I've seen an old picture of Chingford, like when it was way like basically the middle section, I think, and I think you and someone else riding there. But it's really early. It was before I went. When I first went in '86. I didn't know you'd gone there that early. So we used to see you there. You guys all used to come, and we were like tiny kids, and we used to see you there a lot. And then like in '87, you weren't at the Jam, was you?
No, I wanted to go, but I wasn't allowed.
So yeah, that's why I was thinking that something must have stopped that, because everyone else was there. So then in '87, we didn't see you for a while, like at all, and the ramp got rebuilt.
Yeah, well, I kind of knocked it on the head for a little bit in '87.
So he's like, you quit your sponsors.
Yeah.
And you quit riding contests.
I quit all that sports hall competition stuff, which I was pretty sick of, really. And then I could see, the half pipes are springing up, and people starting to ride, doing the street thing as well, riding up walls. And that was, I thought, wow, this is for me,
Yeah. Different vibe.
Yeah, much more. And plus, skateboarding was booming in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
So there was that influence.
Yeah. So, and I remember you guys came, Chingford half pipe had been rebuilt and it was bigger, and you used to come with Jess and a couple of the other guys.
Yeah, I liked it when they cut it down as well. What year was that? It was like it was kind of like a midi ramp.
When it was really wide.
Yeah, that was nice when it was like that.
I remember when it was a 10 foot, I think it was 9 tranny and a foot of vert, and I remember it was just like impossible for us like locals to ride, and you and Jess used to come and like blast out the top of it, and that pretty high, and that was like, I think you were completely like a different style at that point. Like bike was just like chrome bike stickerless or something, and just
yeah, because I went from the sort of corporate sponsor scene to riding for a bike shop.
Oh really?
Mud
machine, like M-Zone,
mud machine.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it? I had a GT, didn't I? The chrome GT.
That's it. Yeah.
And because I quit the corporate sponsorship thing, probably didn't ride for maybe 6 months or something, and then kind of thought, well,
So you literally just did drop out, yeah.
Just got back into it again with M-Zone. But the thing, I think part of it though is because I just like the M-Zone vibe. Well, it wasn't M-Zone then, was it? It was Mud Machine in Croydon. And just the whole vibe of the place, it was just exciting all of a sudden, you know what I mean? I mean, Chucky B is great, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brilliant artist and a real character. I had some great times with him.
Breathe fresh life back into life.
Yeah, and it was just, and then the Life's a Beach clothing. I mean, looking back at it now, some of that gear was pretty atrocious, but it was kind of funky and different and from California. And
if you look at the Life's a Beach stuff though, compared to like what your Joe average normal guy was wearing, it's not that bad,
Yeah,
it's not as bad as what the other
it was just a bit more skatey, I suppose. It was a bit more skate
surfy kind of. Yeah. It was over the top, but that's what you wanted to break out of. You wanted to break out of like bog standard.
Well, I ended up getting more involved with them, didn't I, when I went to California?
Life's a Beach.
Yeah.
That's right.
Properly, and I went on tour with them and stuff.
So I actually forgot about M-Zone. So how did that slowly roll forward, and then you're riding for M-Zone?
It was a pretty loose arrangement with M-Zone. He just gave me a bike. He used to give me, because they first started getting Stussy in and stuff, you know what I mean? And I was like, wow, this is cool. So I was getting some of that stuff for free. And we just all got on. It was like, and plus he was like friends with like Tony Mckenzie and Damon Nicholls, Dave Curry and all that. We were all sort of like, kind of a bit of a crew, really.
That's you met those guys, not those guys, but you met M-Zone guy through Dave Curry and that.
No, I think I seem to remember meeting Chuck. I think it was at Surbiton BMX track, and they had couple of quarter pipes there. I think Tony Mckenzie used to ride there.
Okay.
And I seem to remember being there with Peter Hawkins and showing Chuck the Pro Light, and he'd be really excited about it. Oh, this is lovely. We definitely want to stock some of these in our shop. And he was the top seller in the country.
Oh, really?
He sold more Pro Lights than anybody. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
So the M-Zone, and the M-Zone thing was fun, I mean, you saw all the crazy ads they used to do and stuff.
They were great,
all about having a laugh, you know what I mean?
It was like neck and neck with an arc adjustment, the same
Yeah, it all tied in. We were all part of the same sort of, it was like a movement. It was like a little underground movement was starting to happen, and it was good fun.
So the anarchic, was you sponsored by anarchic adjustment? Or
well, again, it was all very loose. You know what I mean? It was all just like we were all mates. And I used to get a few sweatshirts or something off Nick, and we'd get some stuff from M-Zone, and it was all we were all part of the same crew. So
yeah, nice. Oh yeah, the scooters. What was the scooter thing?
I don't know, a novelty.
Just the same along the same lines, like you're just sick of.
I don't know. I had a go on them, and we did a bit of a photo shoot on Jess's ramp, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
action. They were pretty good fun, I suppose. But just a bit daft looking.
Yeah, now, yeah.
I remember Nick saying he goes, yeah, no matter how many cool stickers and barbed wire and shit you put on them, you just can't make them look cool. You just can't make them look hardcore. No matter how hard you try.
That's true, yeah. Because he was scratching words into the bottom.
Scratch them up, put loads of white stickers on them, and still look rubbish.
Excellent. So it seemed like you guys were discovering music and nightlife around this point in time.
87, started going out clubbing,
and things have they've gone in drastically different directions to the BFA days and the uniform days and stuff, and you're just doing your thing, like you, Jess, Nick,
because we rode at Delirium at the Astoria Theatre. That was great. I love that. I was like, all of a sudden, this is more like it.
Yeah.
Beastie Boys were on stage before they were massive. Schoolie D was on one night, and a big fight broke out, and one of our bikes on stage got thrown into the crowd.
Oh yeah.
There was mud wrestlers on stage and shit. I think maybe Dean Rush might have gone in with the mud wrestlers. It was crazy. I mean, we were just a couple of quarter pipes on stage. I'm surprised no one got hurt because I was asking for trouble because we was drinking beer.
Yeah.
Not that we were big drinkers back then, but we were probably a bit half cut, riding under disco lights.
How did that come to fruition?
I don't know exactly, but the club promoter, a guy called Nick Truelock, his name was. He used to be a skater or something. I don't know, or a skater friends or something. I don't really know how it came about, but I remember Nick and Jess certainly Nick and Jess, I think, did the first night. That was the night where the Beastie Boys were there. I missed that one. But then from then onwards, I was there every time, I think.
Was that a weekly thing then?
Yeah, we were doing it. I can't remember how long we did it for. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months or something. Every Saturday night. Yeah,
it looked cool. The pictures in the mags made it look really good. Yeah,
it was great. It was pretty much the coolest club in London in 1987. We were doing bikes on stage all of a sudden, totally thrown in at the deep end, really, into London club scene. It was cool back then. It was it was before the acid house explosion. But they started playing a bit of early Chicago house, but it was mainly rare groove and hip hop, funk, go-go. It was good Delirium.
So were they demos or were they just sessions?
Just sessions, just random, just get up and have a go when you feel like it. Which generally would be early on in the night because by about 1 o'clock we'd all be drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we never used to take drugs back then. So staying up till God knows what time it was when it used to shut. I think I don't know if it shut at 6. I don't know, maybe at 4. I don't know. It might have been 6. It was late. Yeah. It was difficult for us to stay up all night and get our money at the end of the night. I've got some photos of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was great times. So and then having to ride back from the West End back to Highgate and stay at Jess's, and sometimes it would be pissing right in the pissing rain and freezing cold. 5 o'clock in the morning.
Fucking good stories though. You're getting paid for them demos as well, or them sessions as well. That's pretty.
Yeah, I think maybe we was getting paid £100 or something each or something.
Yeah, that's a turnaround, isn't it? It's nice, especially for back then.
Or it might be even more, I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure. Yeah, we got something for it. Free drink and maybe £100 each or something.
Oh, nice, man. Did people skate there as well, or just bike?
You couldn't really. It was 2 quarter pipes. Paul Wright did come down with his skateboard and had a bit of a go, but he couldn't really skate it.
Yeah.
What those quarter pipes are like. Not really for skating, are they?
Do you know where the quarter pipes came from?
Yeah, they were Andy Ruffell.
Oh, really?
Whole shot quarter pipes. Well, they were the same quarter pipes that we used to use. I guess they were built by Was it Vincent?
Vincent
BMX Frames built the quarter pipes, UK BFA quarter pipes,
Yeah.
and our quarter pipes with the Skyway demos, all built by the same people, I think. And I think they were Andy Ruffell's ramps.
Because at one point he had them in his front yard, right? It's the same ones.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we used to.
So they just rented them off of him. I think we did one at Brixton Academy as well, because that was his story in Charing Cross Road, the Story Theatre, and I think they did one. I seem to remember Brixton, and Roger Harvey, I think, was there. Roger Harvey. I think there's some story. I think Shaka Khan was on stage or something. I think he was pissed out of his head, got on stage with Shaka Khan or something.
Oh, excellent.
I think that's right. I hope that's right.
Yeah, and also like boy clothing. What was that? What went on there?
Well, again, that was the going out in 1987. Going, out on the London club scene, there was boy clothing was
the thing to wear.
Was a lot of people were wearing it.
Oh,
it was kind of a trendy thing to wear at that time, and I suppose it was kind of promoted. But I think Boy George used to wear it a lot. Obviously, being called Boy, it all tied in with his name. I was guilty of wearing a bit of that stuff.
Do you know if that's still going, that brand?
I think it might be.
I've got a feeling it is.
Maybe it's sort of changed slightly, but I don't know if it's restarted up again. Maybe.
Okay. I remember seeing it pop up occasionally in the mags.
But we had stickers. We had Boy London stickers. In fact, we put like Boy London stickers all the way across Jess's half pipe, so it looked like pulled tile coping.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely remember seeing a bit of a presence of boy clothing from you guys at that point. So then, if we roll forward, you didn't basically touch any BMX events in '87 at all.
No.
Apart from one at the end.
Whole shot.
Yeah. So then, let me just.
Well, because I wasn't really riding that much in '87.
Okay.
And I think I got back onto M Zone. I got back into it quite quickly. It hadn't been that long since I kind of quit for a short period. I just started getting a bit excited about riding again because of the Mud Machine M Zone kind of vibe started happening.
And I remember from spectators' point of view, it was the word was out, Craig Campbell's coming back, whole shot, he's going to ride the contest. Yeah, so this was among our little group of because we knew Paul Wright quite well, and we was kind of we was kids, but a new
incarnation of Craig Campbell.
We were semi well connected because we knew older guys, and it was that was the buzz in our group. It was Craig Campbell came back, he's going to ride whole shot, and I remember he was just M Zone top, black helmet. It was just completely different.
It was a complete rebellious thing that I was the rebellious trip I was on. I was with the music, Public Enemy, Rebel Without a Pause. There you go, and just the kind of the whole wearing Stussy skate surf shorts and the half pipe thing, which was they've got a half pipe here. That's the future of BMX, not these stupid little skinny quarter pipes. So therefore, here's my little protest at the end of my run: jump into the half pipe off the back of the quarter pipe.
So it's just so that everyone knows that you wasn't supposed to be riding the half pipe. Basically.
Yeah, I was, because I was generally really quite pissed off that we couldn't have a competition on the half pipe. So you got skaters on half pipe. Why can't we have a BMX competition on the half pipe? But they didn't get it. Yeah.
I remember so you rode pretty good in that contest though as well, right? I seem to remember you did some big 540s and stuff. Yeah,
I did some 540s. I can't remember. I don't think I won it. Did I? No.
I don't think you won, but I remember because it was quite a buzz, and when you took your run, everyone was pretty fucking hyped.
The 540s were going down well because they were quite new at that time. It was only Eric was doing big ones, and everyone was a bit sketchy on them. People would try 540s, but they wouldn't land them very often.
Yeah,
right. Even myself, it took me a while to really get them nailed.
Yeah,
so I could do them all the time.
But I remember it being it was good, and it was a good comeback. It wasn't just you did something just that shit.
Yeah, and it's kind of I quite like it because it's kind of sort of gone down in history a little bit. Totally. Just because of the half pipe incident, basically.
So because at the end of the run, you sort of popped out on that quarter that was near the half pipe, and it was people were he's going in the half.
Well, it went almost silent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To this almost a massive
and it was just
eruption.
Like I'm heading towards his half pipe, foot planted into the half pipe. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got chucked because there was netting. There was
netting. That's it.
And I got chucked. I said, I'm going to jump off the back. I told him beforehand. I said, I'm going to jump off the back of the quarter pipe at the end of my run. Can you pull the netting down? So, and I've got it was in the magazine. There's a picture that was in the magazine of Chuck pulling the netting down and me, foot planting off. And I was just too knackered really to be able to do anything decent. But just the fact that I jumped in was enough.
And then you tried a 5 on the.
I tried to do a 5, but I just no energy left.
But it was still like it was done. Well, it was like
it was the fact
statement
that
was made.
The statement was made.
Yeah.
But I guess a lot of people didn't really get it. What I was saying. Probably not. But anyway, there's a little bit of history there.
I'd say from the reaction that most people knew. I'd say that most people knew what was going on there.
Yeah, well, I think
maybe not exactly that.
Probably a lot of people. It was just the fact that I was doing something different. I was, hold on a minute, he's jumping off the back of the quarter. What's he doing? But not so much what I was actually trying to say, as in this is what we should be doing, not this. Not so many people got that side of it. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you might. Or maybe I underestimated that.
Yeah. Good people fucking excited on that. That was good. And so then that was the end of '87. And what happened between that period of time and spring of '88? Can you remember? You rode that contest. You did well. Everyone was pretty fucking psyched that Craig Campbell was back. And then it was winter. It's completely dead of winter. Right? Yeah. Well, that was, I guess, Whole Shot '87 was the last kind of British. That was the last British competition. Yeah, that's it. December '87. And then it was just kind of midwinter, so probably wasn't riding that much. Jess went to California, basically. I can't remember exactly when he went, but he'd been there maybe a little while, maybe a month or something. And he phones me up and he says, "Get yourself out to California, man. You know what I mean? You can't be knocking it on the head now, And I was sort of umming and ahhing, I've got this new job. I've got this good job, and I was quite caught up in the club scene as well. And then I sort of thought about it, and I thought, just go, man. You know what I mean? Just see what happens. And I think I was getting a bit sick of the mundane 9 to 5, the 9 to 5 mundane commuting routine, from Essex to the Soho. So I was kind of glad to get away from it. I think, I'm going to go to California for a bit, and I didn't. I thought maybe go for a few months. Well, initially I planned. I think I through 3 months, and it ended up being 3 years. And the only reason I came back really is because BMX died at the end of 1990. All of a sudden I couldn't maintain. I couldn't make a living at it anymore. So I had to do something else. It died in the UK before it died in the US. Then. I don't know. I think it was all around the same time, wasn't it? Around sort of the end of 1990, beginning of 91. Yeah, I mean, it was fully dead here, but I mean, there's no way that anyone was getting any. And then it picked up again a few years later, didn't it? About sort of 95. When Hoffman was really pushing it as it died a death. Yeah. Hoffman was really pushing it. That's it. Yeah. So you moved to, where did you move to in America? HB. Huntington Beach. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think, Huntington Beach. What a carry on that was there. And who did you move in with there, Jess? Well, it was initially, I think we stayed in maybe Garden Grove, which is a bit further inland than Huntington Beach, with Jess's friends there, and then Tony and Damon and everyone, they all moved to Huntington Beach. And then we moved to Huntington Beach, and there was like a little English commune, that was 88. It was we all lived in kind of like, it was like beach huts. It was like a little kind of like surfer beach huts. Yeah. Like a block, not even a block from the beach. Like 100 yards from the beach. And then in '89, we all moved to another little beach hut complex. But the HV days were pretty wild. Party days.
A lot of partying.
Yeah.
I mean, not so much 88 and 89 because I was really on top of my game riding, but I used to kind of like float in and out of it a bit, because I was all over the place riding. 1990 was when the partying started kicking in for me.
So, and then when you moved back, you got back on Skyway when you moved to America.
Yeah, I went. Initially I was on Haro for about, I don't know, maybe a month or two, and the Skyway picked me up because I already had the Skyway connection from the UK. And then boom, straight on tour pretty much. US
tour,
88 USA tour straight away.
You remember who that was with?
Me, Eddie Roman, Kevin Jones, and John Peterson.
Okay.
John Peterson was like the manager. John Peterson was a skatepark rider. He used to ride a 24 at Pipeline and Del Mar.
Okay, I don't know that name.
But he was a Skyway team manager. And me, Eddie Roman, and Kevin Jones. But it's great. I mean, Kevin Jones blew my mind. You know what I mean? Like just Flatland, just like from another planet. You know, I've never seen people like do that kind of stuff. You know, like compared to what I'd seen in England, this was just like light years ahead. You know?
Yeah, he changed it. Yeah,
he changed it for everybody, didn't he? Flatland.
I didn't know he was on Haro.
Yeah, it was short period. I got a cover of a magazine though. There was an American magazine called. It was one of those sort of smaller magazines. Anyway, I got a magazine cover. I've still got a picture.
Oh, right.
Right in Haro at the velodrome. Remember the velodrome competitions? It was at one of those.
And then was that the same year as like the 2 hip contests were happening? 87.
Yeah, they started in 87, but I didn't start riding them till 88.
Oh, okay.
Well, I wasn't there. 87,
of course, sorry.
January 88, I moved to California.
So 88, you were riding 2 hip contests?
Yeah.
540 more, right?
Yeah, street and the vert series. 88 and 89, I did pretty good.
Yeah, I remember you got a lot of coverage.
Got first, quite a few seconds. This is street and vert.
Did you come first in vert as well?
No.
Okay.
I got second. I got a few seconds. Woodward, that was a good one. The first ever 900, first 900 attempt.
Oh yeah.
Got close as well. Have you seen the video of it?
I must have seen it.
It's on my Instagram.
Yeah, I would have seen it when it came out. Probably it might have been was it on a Dorking in York or something like that? It might have been like one of the Kevin Jones videos when they used to
I'd give it 2 attempts. Again, it was the end of my run, so I was knackered. But I thought to myself, what do you do? Do you try it halfway through your run and hurt yourself, and then you've knackered it? You're not going to do any good. So I thought, stick it out to the end, and just give it a shot. Just hit it and see what happens.
Yeah,
it was one of them.
I remember one from the deck. Someone's filmed it from the deck, and you spin
I spun it. I landed it. I just couldn't hang on. Just fell on my arse.
Yeah, a lot of force going for it. That was with Skyway wheels as well. So
it's quite a small half pipe as well. It wasn't a really big transition. So I landed quite far down, close to the flat.
Oh, right.
But I was quite happy that I span it. You know what I mean?
How many of them did you try?
2
in total.
I mean the first attempt was nowhere close, but the second one was quite close. And then, that was my second and third attempt. The first attempt of the 900 was in New York when they had a vert contest in Albany, New York State.
Yeah, upstate, yeah.
That was my first 900 attempt. I was, me and Blyther were going at it, and Blyther won it. He had the edge on me. I mean, but I was trying my bloody hardest to beat you. I mean, I'll get you with a 900. Didn't work. But watching the video back, he just certainly deserved to win it.
Was that the indoor one up there?
Yeah.
Okay. What about the one where there was like the ramp on the water?
Oh, that was great. Yeah, Texas. Yeah. Austin, Texas. Yeah, the wobbly vert ramp on a barge. Yeah, that was great because you end up ending your run in the lake, didn't you?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Jumping out there half in the lake.
You freed into the lake or something. Yeah,
I lost my bike in the lake and had to be fished out because there was some local guy tried to dive down for it and they couldn't get it or whatever. And I think how they got it out. I think someone got like a claw hammer and a piece of rope, and someone dove down a bit with it and sort of kind of put it in roughly in the right area, and they were sort of like trying to sort of like basically fished
So you
it
got
out.
it, yeah?
Fished it out, yeah, dripping with weeds and stuff, you know. Got it back.
So that at that point, that's where you wanted BMX to be, right?
Yeah, I thought this is it. This is me now. This feels right. You know what I mean? It's like the two hip series, vert competition, street competition is great. You know what I mean? This is more like it.
Yeah.
You know.
They looked fun as well. Like.
And the fact they were really quite loose. They weren't that well organised. I mean, especially the New York one, the New York street competition. They didn't even have permission to do it. They just do it like 1,000 or 2,000 people or something. And the cops showed up. And Wilkerson just sort of kind of sweet talked to them. You know what I mean? He said, "Well, look, you know, we're just having a little competition on a Saturday afternoon," and they were like, "Okay, all right, we'll try and keep you under control as long as there's no trouble, you know."
That was one of the Brooklyn Banks,
yeah? Yeah. That was a cool competition. I rode like shit because I didn't get any sleep. I slept in Washington Square Park the night before. Nowhere to stay. I'd come off tour. Just basically got a train from Washington DC to New York City. It didn't have much money, not enough to get a hotel room.
Yeah.
And just thought, well, I'll just go down the banks. There'll be someone who'll put me up for the night. You know what I mean? So I went down there. It didn't quite happen, and then I ended up sleeping. I didn't actually sleep outside in Washington Square Park. I slept in something that I think might have been Wilkerson actually. Someone had a rent a car anyway, and they said, "Well, you can sleep in the car," but it's parked in Washington Square Park. And Washington Square Park in New York City in the middle of summer on a Friday night, you ain't getting any sleep. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you might as well be sleeping in a party. You know what I mean? So yeah, got up. Well, I didn't even really sleep. Rode down to the banks, you know, and I think I still got fourth, but I just stacked it. Did a big 360 over the box.
I watched it.
Smashed my foot. I think I felt like I cracked my heel or something.
So would they build their ramps there?
No, I don't know. They might have done.
I'm just wondering how they.
Well, they bought them from somewhere, but they just set up some ramps, and all very spontaneous.
Yeah. No, it looked amazing.
Wouldn't get away with it these days.
No chance. So that was the one where Voelker freed off the.
That's probably the trick of the contest. Yeah. 360 off the wall into the bank. That was the first time.
Yeah,
just went for it. Yeah.
I think he did, maybe pulled it second goal or something. I didn't know that he tried it.
Oh yeah, did he try it twice?
He tried it twice. Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. And then there was like the obviously the legendary 540 wall ride, which.
Yeah, well, my finest moment in BMX.
Over the years is probably the thing that's.
And it was just great that no one could do it for years afterwards. Made it even better.
I think you had to wait for the next decade before anyone else did it. Well,
yeah,
how did that come about? Because
we were riding this bank to wall in Redondo Beach, like me, Pete, Augustin, Chris Day, and Craig Grasso, and it was kind of it was like a concrete bank to wall, but there was kind of a grass landing. So we were sort of experimenting with variations, and I started thinking, well, you could probably do it to fakie. You know, it doesn't really matter if you fall on your arse; it's not going to hurt too much, you know, because it was a grass bank. And so I started doing them, wall ride to fakie it, and I'd landing it to fakie, sort of rolling out of it. And I didn't think that much of it. And I thought, well, that's that. You know what I mean? Not that mental. But then when we went to Santee, they had this dirt bank to wall that all of a sudden you could get the height. You know what I mean? This dirt bank had a bit of a kick on it. And you could get really high wall heights, like 6-7 foot up the wall. Gave me the air time to be able to spin the 540, and that's how it happened basically. Just
how many times did you try that day?
I pulled it first time.
Oh, you pulled it first go?
Yeah.
That's pretty good going, isn't it? I remember seeing it on video and being like, "What the fuck?" And maybe
kind of like a bit of luck involved, I think. It's just I don't know. It just happened. I thought, well, I'm going to try it because I thought, you know, we could probably do this because it's. You can get the airtime, and it just came out perfect first time. And I think I only did maybe about 3 of them. I think I bailed a few.
What, all that weekend?
That I actually made. That I actually landed. I think I maybe landed about three and bailed 2. In the final, I didn't make it in the final. So and then both. I think if I'd landed it in the final, I would have won because I won the qualifiers.
Yeah. Oh, that was a qualifying trick as well.
Yeah, that was the qualifiers. I won with that.
All right.
Obviously, really. I mean, and then Voelker won it in the end.
But
Voelker was, you know, come on, he's ripping, you know. Obviously. Yeah.
I always wondered whether you did that to fakie or not first, because of the time period. People didn't used to really land stuff backwards that much. So.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to do it fakey on that.
If you became fast,
it would have been more difficult than the 540, I think.
Yeah, still that's still like there was a sequence. I think,
but it's great that I'm so happy with that the way it came out. I mean, you look at it now, it still looks good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So, and then the fact that it just took a long time for someone else to do it.
I think that the next one that I remember being vividly like 540 where I was Euro road falls and Ruben from Spain did it. Ruben Alcantara.
Yeah.
Before that, I don't know if anyone even perpetrated it.
I saw someone do it from flat.
Now, yeah.
These days,
yeah. I can imagine it now, but back then it was like a 540.
I don't know if it was possible to do that on them bikes back then. I don't know, or maybe, but yeah, it's off of flat. I was like, wow.
But to think that like a 540 air was impossible in what was that 88? So
yeah,
it was like virtually like there was a few people that
did 540. Yeah, I mean it was.
Yeah, but I mean there wasn't many people doing 540 airs in 88. You know, there was the top level guys.
It was a top level trick.
Yeah. So then after that, like, when did the ozone thing come into it?
Well, that was 89.
So you was riding for like Life's a Beach and Skyway and Airwalk. Was
88.
88, yeah.
And then into 89, still Life's a Beach, because I did the Skyway tour 88, and then the second US tour was for Life's a Beach in 89. And we started riding for Ozone. I think it was because that kind of came about through sort of Pete Augustin, and because we was all riding Ozone. I think me, Pete, Craig Grasso, and Chris Day.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And we were riding. We were living together in it wasn't. We used to ride Redondo Beach, but we used to live in a less desirable area, Lomita, I think it was. But and Hermosa we used to ride. That's where Grasso used to live.
Okay.
But that's a great area to ride. Street riding. Redondo Beach was great for street riding. Loads of cool banks and jumps.
So what was Ozone? Where did it come from?
From up north.
Was it a bike company already?
Yeah, San Jose, Northern California.
What, a normal bike company, or was it just BMX? Like
just BMX, I think.
Because we never got it here. We just used to see the ads.
It never came over here.
No,
it was quite a small company, I think. But they seemed to put a good team together.
Yeah, and the image was good as well.
Then they bought an Arctic adjustment.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
And so the owner, there's quite a lot attached to all this, but an Arctic adjustment was then owned by the same guy that owned Ozone bikes.
Well, who was that guy though?
A guy called Alan Brown.
And that was that his only business? Was Ozone bikes?
I think so. Yeah, it was kind of. They had like a Taiwan connection, I think, because I think there was some. I think maybe his wife was Taiwanese, and there was some Taiwanese people that worked there. But obviously, that's where they were getting made. I would imagine. I think they were American.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. Yeah, so it reminded me a bit. It reminded me of like a cooler General. You know that company General. Ozone seemed to just have a similar vibe, but way better, because the graphics and everything was like. Did Nick do the adverts or something at one point? Because the graphics seemed very like at some period they changed over to like a sort of an Arctic adjustment type of vibe to it.
I don't know if Nick did graphics for Ozone, but it's the Ozone. It had a vibe.
Well, not the graphics, but the ads.
Oh, the ads, maybe. Yeah, probably the ads. Yeah, I mean, it just had a vibe. I mean, it had like all the edgy street riders.
Yeah.
And it had some really good flat round riders and vert riders. I mean, like Oscar Gonzales. You know, I used to do shows with Oscar. You know, up in Northern California.
Well, I don't know, but who's that guy?
Oscar Gonzales, Hugo Gonzales' younger brother.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. There was Leo Chen. Did he also ride for Ozone?
I think so. Yeah.
I remember he had some good photos. Yeah. Was an Arctic adjustment run from the Ozone warehouse?
Yeah.
So Nick was working in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I was kind of working there for a bit, but I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. I kind of got employed by them. I mean, I was riding an Ozone bike and I was wearing an Arctic adjustment clothing, and I kind of had this sort of like, I don't know, what is my job role exactly? You know what I mean? I just seemed to be kind of hanging about a bit and sort of, I don't know, I was just kind of hanging around really.
Interesting.
Nick's sidekick.
Yeah.
I think I actually had I had an arc adjustment business card with stance coordinator. That was my job title, which is just nonsense. You know what I mean? But
and how did that go?
I still had that
over there, like an arc adjustment with that. That seemed to like take flight pretty much.
Yeah, well, it kind of got lucky because it got big in Japan because there's this huge like celebrity DJ guy called Hiroshi Fujiwara in Japan, and he had a record label called Tiny Panks, and it was an anarchy symbol on the record label, and he must have seen it's an arc adjustment T-shirt with the anarchy logo, and it's like his record label, you know what I mean? So he started wearing an arc adjustment in Japan, but he's a bit of a celeb, you know what I mean? And he was kind of on TV a bit and stuff like that. So all of a sudden there was this massive demand for these anarchic adjustment T-shirts in Japan, and that's kind of how all kind of I don't know how did it come about? I don't know.
Because it seemed to like have it like it blew up, didn't it? It was over here. It was like it had a really cult following, like in the BMX and skate scene.
Yeah,
and it was like gaining.
But it got it because of this DJ in Japan, Hiroshi. He sort of sent it into the kind of the mainstream, not like the mainstream, but kind of like what all the cool club kids and skaters and that kind of crowd were into. And it just blew up in Japan, and then all of a sudden, we went out there, me, Nick, and this guy from London called Barnsley. It was kind of like a face on the club scene around London, and he was friends with Hiroshi, so it was all connected.
So did you go out there with like to do bike stuff, or you just
went out there to just do a club, just a promotion, an arc adjustment promotion, a few parties in a few clubs basically, just to promote an arc adjustment. I guess I don't know. Was it really a promotion, or was it just kind of one big party? I don't know what it was. It was just really. It was just seemed to be just going out there having a bit of a party. I can't go into too much detail.
I always wondered about Ozone. So what happened to Ozone? Like, it just stopped. It was like a pro-like part to it. Just
Again, I fell out with Alan Brown over. I fell out over an arc adjustment, basically over the Japan trip. Alan Brown, the owner, got paranoid that I was kind of scheming behind his back with this guy Barnsley from London, who was like, like Hiroshi was kind of like bigging up an arc adjustment in Japan. Barnsley was bigging it up in London on the kind of club scene, and then there was me and Nick, kind of like we had the BMX following. Yeah. So that was kind of like what was happening, and because I was hanging out with Barnsley, I got on really well with him, and we kind of like sort of shot off and did our own thing for a bit. And he was like, well, where are those two gone? You know, what are they up to? Start getting all paranoid, do you know what I mean? Like they're scheming behind our backs, you know, like they're gonna try and take it away from us, and you know what I mean? I was like, I didn't quite get it. And he sacked me, basically. He stuck me on the next plane back to San Francisco. Sacked me.
From Japan?
Yeah, from Tokyo to San Francisco, basically sent me back. And didn't pay me for like the last month. I'd been working for him, even though I wasn't really doing much for him. But there was an agreement to get paid. So it was totally skin. I had to get like a Greyhound bus from San Jose back down to Huntington Beach without any money, no bike, you know, just like a small little bag with some clothes. Just showed up in Huntington Beach, and obviously had my mates still living down there, and just shacked up with one of them in Huntington Beach, and that was the end of it all. And then I didn't speak to Nick for a long time, for years.
So Ozone, did they last much longer after that, or?
It kind of disappeared, I think, but then it came back again, didn't it? Like, I mean, my mate in Essex has got one, the Repop. They made a new Ozone, kind of similar to the old one, but I guess with a modern bottom bracket. The bottom bracket.
Recently.
In recent times, yeah, not
bracket,
not that long ago. They started reissuing ozones.
Wow.
I think they're doing it with a general as well. I think they're doing the R.L. Osbourne general. I think they're reissuing that.
All right. I didn't know that they repopped the
ozone. I threw that in
there. and then so you came back. You was off ozone. I guess that's when you transitioned into the bully thing. Was that next, or did you go back to Skyway?
That was the ozone thing came to an end, and then R.L. Osbourne approached me about riding the bully, but the bully thing didn't last long because I remember I was still in San Jose when I had a bully bike because there's that picture of me in the San Jose warehouse. That tyre tap where the tyre's flat. I didn't have enough pressure in my tyre. Basically, that's all it was. So I was riding for bully, and I remember coming back. So that end of '89, I must have started riding for bully.
Yeah, that's when it came.
Because I seem to remember coming back to England for Christmas for a week or two, and I had the bully with me because I remember taking it to Shingford.
Oh, okay.
When it was cut down to the midi ramp. And I think one time I rode there.
Was that the first bash guard bike you had?
Yeah, I mean I was never really that into the bash guard thing.
Yeah.
I kind of sort of thought, well, that probably ain't going to last, and I guess it didn't, did it really?
No.
It just seemed like a real big bulky chunk on the bottom of the bike, and I was more into the light, bikes being light.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting that you kind of see that as a fad even back then.
Because the thing is, we were doing the tricks that the bash guard was made for. We were doing them before we had bash guards. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, maybe you break your chain.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, we don't really need the bash guard, do we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the best bash guard of all time was Chris Day's homemade bash guard on his ozone. He made one, and he's come when I used to live with Jamie Mouseberg, who was a team manager for Life's a Beach. I lived at the house they had down in Carlsbad, and had a spine ramp in the backyard.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah,
and Chris Day he was doing some progressive stuff on that bash guard down there, like kind of like grind reverts and 360s. Sort of bashed over the over the spine,
360 rocks almost.
And he was doing some really progressive stuff. But it just looked it was just comical looking, the bash guard.
What? How did he? What was it? A part of a bike that he modified or something?
He just I don't know. He just knocked it together. Just it was all sort of bent and a bit loose. But yeah, that was.
What happened to Chris Day? Do you know? Because he was like, at one point for about 6 months, he was everywhere, and then he just kind of wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know, he just kind of fell out of it really. Again, around 1990, I think, when it kind of things just kind of got, people weren't making any money anymore. But Chris used to rip. I mean, he was flatland initially.
Yeah,
and then he turned his hand to street riding. He was good at that as well.
I heard he was the first person to do the handrail.
He probably attempted it because he was ballsy. He'd go for stuff. Handrail like chainring grind?
No, handrail on both pegs. Yeah,
possibly.
I might be wrong. He might be on the sprocket. I don't know.
I came close to it, doing it, but never actually. I saw there was some rails. I remember sat around the Civic Centre.
Famous ones, the square ones.
They were like quite low.
Yeah.
They were easy to get onto, and I was looking at them and I was like, yeah, you could do that, but I didn't.
So was you going to go on your pegs or on the bash guard? Okay.
I tried to do a chainring grind once, but it didn't work out.
Unstable,
I fucking smacked straight on my head. I had a helmet on. I think I gave myself a bit of a concussion with a fucking helmet on. That was in Hawaii. I did that. Mark Gonzales was doing these. He was doing nose grinds down this rail. And I don't know, I just got a bit carried away, and I just thought, well, you could probably just get on the chain ring, slide down sideways, and smack. So that was that. I didn't try that again.
Yeah, that's a bit.
But people do them these days, don't they? But it's funny how they do them these days, isn't it? Because they almost do it's like crank arm, isn't it?
Yeah, they figured it out a bit. Yeah. Yeah, but if you land on your sprocket.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's got a thin little sprocket. Trying to make it slide.
Balance it out. Yeah. Yeah, man. So and then what? So how did Bully finish? Like what?
Again, same story. BMX just died, didn't it? You know, it never really happened. I mean, I think that we were supposed to go on tour and stuff.
Lazy Wives tour.
Yeah, and it just never happened. Mike Dominguez.
Yeah,
and the same with Mike Dominguez. He just knocked it on the head. Just.
So that tour never happened.
No, nothing ever happened with Bully. I think I can't remember. I don't think I rode any competitions or did shows. Just was sponsored for a while. Got a few photos in the magazine.
Yeah, I remember when it came out. Like Bully, like you say earlier, it was very like the image was good. You know, everything about that at that point in time, I was like, man.
Yeah, I like the colour. The kind of like the army green, yeah, khaki sort of colour, and the graphics were quite good
with the barbed wire.
Yeah. But people used to say they weren't very strong. They used to bend.
Yeah, I saw
bendy
quite
bullies.
a few.
I don't think I ever had any trouble with it, but I didn't have it for long.
Yeah. No, the back end always used to bend round. Yeah, but yeah, it didn't. It seemed to similar thing with Ozone. It came in, disappeared, came back again, and then sort of just fizzled out. Like it sort of almost had two goes, and it didn't work either go. But yeah, it definitely had traction when it came out. I thought, image-wise, it looked amazing.
Yeah, in '89 it was at its peak, you know. And I mean, we just had. That time, you know, just living with Pete Augustin and Chris Day and Grasso used to live just up the road. You know what I mean? When we just used to go riding every day around Hermosa and Redondo, and they were pretty cool times. You know what I mean? And we were getting paid to do that. You know what I mean? Just living the dream sort of thing. You know what I mean? Not a lot of money, but enough to get by, you know.
Yeah, enough to, and you're doing what you really want to do as well. Yeah.
And we were creating something, you know, fresh. You know, there was that side to it.
So would you say that you did more for like street riding here or over there? It sounds like when you went to America, you did more
over there, for sure.
Because it's better.
88 and 89 were my years. I mean, I find it funny. I've spoke to people that know me from the UK riding. And some people are not even really aware that I did that stuff in America. You know, they just remember me from the UK BFA days.
That's probably more a reflection on them not being involved at the later period.
Yeah, probably.
Because for the people who continued riding, they would definitely say that the later stuff is the way.
Yeah, that was the best time for me. Yeah, for sure. That was when I felt like, you know, this is what I should be doing now. You know what I mean? And then it kind of came to an end too quickly, really.
Yeah, he stopped.
That's what I even felt that. I thought, well, kind of only been a couple of years, you know what I mean? It started getting good and it's sort of coming to an end all of a sudden, you know.
So, why do you just think you couldn't ride without getting paid? Like, you couldn't ride to that level without getting paid? Why do you think you just was like, fuck this? Or did you get burnt by it? Or what was the story?
Well, I just, I'd kind of sort of taken it to quite a, you know,
you took it to
took it to
high
level,
the highest level to go.
And it just, I don't know, and it's partly to do with going out, started going out raving and stuff as well. That was part of it as well. I started getting interested in DJing.
Age as well, yeah.
You know, and obviously drugs.
Yeah.
And it was a combination of things really. And then came back to London, and then kind of just got myself in the right place, hanging out, you know, at M Zone in Soho. Obviously, going out clubbing a lot, meeting a lot of people. Started getting DJ gigs.
Yeah. So when did you start DJing? Early, like
probably sort of 92. I started picking up. Maybe towards the end of 91, a little bit, but in 92, 93, I started picking up, and then by about 94, I was, you know, doing pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, I was playing in Ibiza and, you know, Ministry of Sound and blah, blah, places like that.
I remember when you was quite a name. Yeah, your name used to pop up in the, like, music press and stuff a little bit. So I remember that. And I wasn't even into that scene, so I need to notice, But there was a story of, like, you ended up DJing at, like, celebrity parties or something.
Yeah, that's kind of just the way my management went. I had a really good manager with my girlfriend at the time as well. And I was doing the club circuit all around the UK, Ibiza and stuff. And then she started kind of getting more involved with like kind of these sort of swanky uptown kind of celebrity kind of hangouts, swanky bars, and I kind of got sucked into that through her, and kind of like sort of was moving away from the club scene, which was a bit of a mistake because that's where the money was. You know, even though you think all this like glitz and glamour, that's all fantastic, but you're not getting paid the same money as you're worth for like attracting. Say if you attract 1,000 punters in a club, you get paid quite a lot of money for that. You know what I mean? But if you're playing in some celebrity hangout, they don't really care who's DJing or what music's playing really half the time. You know what I mean? So you're getting. I was getting £400 for 2 hours in the clubs to playing for like 150 for like playing 4 hours in a swanky bar. You know what I mean?
And this is like early 90s, mid 90s. So
that was late 90s.
Okay.
I mean, the club scene for me was from about 92 to about 96, and about 97, 98, 99 was more of the kind of celebrity hangouts and stuff. And I met a lot of famous people, but did a lot of drugs. But as you do.
And then so that just kind of run its course, and you didn't get back into the club scene then.
No, it just once you kind of fall out of it, it's difficult to there's too many DJs out there that jump in your shoes real quick. You know. What I mean?
Spaces to take.
So it just kind of gradually fell to pieces, and my head wasn't exactly screwed on correctly towards the end of the late 90s. So it wasn't really, I admit, wasn't on top of things.
Yeah,
it was really lost in a bit of a whirlwind of partying, really.
All right. I need to know some other stuff about some other important things that I think are important. And it's what was you around the period of time where the first wall ride was done? So I've like seen stories about the first wall ride, and people they always say it's done in the UK.
Well, my recollection of the first wall ride was Tim March.
Oh, really?
In 1982.
Okay, interesting.
A lot of people, Nick Phillip seems to claim to be the first person to do wall rides. Right? But that would have been 86.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Around 86, street riding started getting popular. It started becoming a thing. But I seem to have a distant memory of seeing Tim March do it at a race meeting, just quickly, just like whizzing along, just.
On a flat?
Did you just see that? It was like
flat to wall.
Yeah, just a bunny hop wall ride. Did I really see? It was almost like, did I really see that? Did he just do that? It was one of them.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I haven't just imagined that. You know what I mean? But
so the popular story that floats about is Nick did it, and Eddie Roman saw it, and then Eddie Roman got the first picture.
Yeah, I've heard that one. That could possibly be true, but I can't say for sure.
Can't be verified. I'm sure Tim will claim it whether he did it or not. That's the annoying thing.
Yeah, I can't even say that's 100% sure because it's such a little dim, distant moment. You know what I mean? It's, but for some reason, it's in there.
Yeah.
And so that's all I know really on that.
Oh, still pretty fucking good bit of info there. So what's like? Do you ever like mess about back on a BMX now, or you?
Well, I've still got one. If I had a good skate park near me, I'd probably ride it more, but I haven't. So I don't get out on it much, really. Maybe I might start trying to get out on it a bit more. But the thing is, it's just age, isn't it? It's like, it's like I'm almost 53, and I'm like, I'm still in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
I'm just out of practice.
Yeah.
I think give me if you stuck me in Woodwood for a week, I'd probably be quite good by the end of the week.
Yeah. Did you keep up with like what was going on within BMX when you was out of it, or did you just not even pay attention to what was going on?
I didn't. Throughout the 90s, I didn't pay that much attention to it. Really, it was kind of on the sideline to see bits and bobs of it every now and then. But no, and it wasn't until I guess the early 2000s that I started kind of sort of keeping my eye on it again, taking a bit of interest again.
It was hard in the 90s. It was hard to see BMX because it was nowhere. You had to seek it out. Like it was very like underneath everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the backyard jam one time in the 90s, and I was like, this is pretty intense, you know, like the chasm and all that.
What one was that? Do you remember?
I can't remember what year it was, mid-90s, but they were doing that chasm jump.
There was a few years they did the chasm. Yeah, was it at the track or was it in the field?
It was a track.
I think. Bexhill. Yeah, I know the one.
I was at Bexhill.
It was like it would have been the one with the metal tape.
But I remember looking at it, thinking, "There's no way I could do that."
And
people would like trying backflips and shit.
Yeah, that was the metal takeoff year. Yeah, that was Dave Clymer doing the backflips. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you was at that. Yeah. So I remember one time you came to Leon C, like one of the little jams, and you was DJing there. That was probably 93 or 94 maybe.
Right.
I know. Yeah, I remember that was being a bit of a thing. Like people was Craig Campbell, yeah. Oh yeah. How do you view BMX today? With what you see today, like.
Well, it's. I mean, I've said this before. I said this in a dig interview. I think it's quite hard to throw a bit of personality into a foam pit trick. You know, which I think is pretty true.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's impressive stuff.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. I'm not overly drawn to all that. Drawn towards all that, really. I like the real street stuff. I mean, I quite like people like Pete Burns. Not Pete Burns. He's
like a pop star.
He's Pete Burns.
Oh, yeah, no, you mean Sean Burns. Yeah, okay.
Pete Burns is dead or alive.
yeah.
Dead or...
You spin me right around, baby,
that's
right
it,
around.
yeah.
Similar look. Yeah, you kind of...
Sean Burns, he cracks me up. Just his whole vibe, his look, and, you know, that kind of... and just crazy stuff he does, jumping off roofs and all that.
Yeah.
I quite like all that stuff.
Yeah, to me, that's more BMX than like
spinning
around.
It's raw, isn't it? It's getting amongst the real street and all that. Well, you know, like you said, it's a bit gymnastics, isn't it?
Yeah.
But still very technically difficult.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, not. Yeah, but just because it's very difficult doesn't mean it's going to look good, you know.
Well, exactly. A lot of time you get. I mean, you know, you can't even really tell what just happened.
Yeah.
You
know that something spun round, and something else spun round, and he landed. Like that's, that's interesting. And someone asked anything you might have done differently throughout your riding career.
Well, quit too early.
Quit too early.
Yeah, I was only 21, but it was dead.
Yeah.
And then I was just distracted with the world of DJing. So never really got back into it again. And then by the time I sort of had a bit of an interest in it again, I was kind of getting a bit old and the young kids were doing all this crazy stuff and I was like, well, I can't compete with that, you know. But, you know, I had a little go here and there over the years.
Did you think you needed to compete though, or you could have just...
Well, not so much compete, but just push myself to try and do that stuff they're doing now, you know what I mean? But it's just like anything, though, isn't it? If you're riding all the time, you just naturally progress, and it doesn't seem that difficult. Yeah. But when you're out of it for a long time, and all of a sudden it's just this light year jump to something else, and you think, whoa, you know.
I think maybe as well that you might have been looking at the newer stuff, not knowing like how good the stuff that you'd already done was, because like the newer stuff is really not much different to the older stuff. It's just done slightly different.
Yeah, and also you've got to consider the bikes as well. Like
exactly,
the bikes, it make it a lot easier to do those kind of tricks. I mean, a lot of the tricks they do now, they probably wouldn't be able to do on some of the bikes we used to ride.
Especially the street stuff. It's like really technical and like you definitely need a really responsive bike. Everyone had long back ends.
Yeah. I mean, it's so difficult.
No one even thought about like, what about if we shorten the back end and like maybe change the top tube length and the head angle?
Yeah. I mean, I used to think about that kind of sort of stuff a bit, but not to how they've refined it now.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't really refine it anymore. You know?
It's just years of progress has brought to that point. Someone else has asked, what was it like meeting the Queen?
The Queen? I never met the Queen.
You never met the Queen?
I met her mother.
Oh, okay. You've got the wrong thing here. This is John Pover.
Yeah, I met the Queen's mother.
All right. How was that?
Awkward. Again, something I didn't really want to do.
All right, but that came in the Skyway.
But I mean, Yeah, it was again through Peter Hawkins, getting me to do stuff I didn't really want to do. We did a show at the Windsor Flower Show, the BMX show at the Windsor Flower Show, and I was just like, oh, no, this is not me at all. You know what I mean? Right, we're going to get to meet the Queen Mother, right? And I've got a photograph. Well, you've probably seen the photograph. There's a photograph of me, Paul Hudson, and Billy Stupple.
So you couldn't give a shit, basically, is what you're saying?
No, not really.
Yeah, okay.
I just
Cool.
It just felt awkward to me. Not,
Yeah.
If it had been Madonna or something, maybe I would have been a bit more excited.
Didn't want to be there, didn't you? Excellent.
So when you used to practice at Head of the Road, like, did it really piss you off for kids watching through gates and all that?
No, not really. No, I used to. I remember I used to scare. He used to always get girls ride by on their horses. I used to scare the hell out of the horses, and those poor girls. I mean, the horses are rearing up and shit because I'm flying out this quarter pipe, and the horses are like. I remember doing that, being a bit of an arse doing that.
Because like, whenever we used to go to the track, we always used to ride past 10 in a row just in case you were there. And, like,
I didn't.
What you did, like, I don't really think we ever saw you really riding the ramps like that much. It was more like you'd be doing practice flat. You'd have like your Skyway uniform on, and you're sitting there like practicing the flat.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a distant memory, really. But I remember because I had a half pipe eventually, because I had 2 quarter pipes initially, and eventually I built a half pipe. But I could still only make it 8 foot wide because it's all I could fit into the garden, into the backyard. But it was like 10 foot high. I think it was 10 foot. But anyway, you've seen.
So that was a big ramp then.
That was a big, it was a big.
Back then, like
a 10 foot transition, not a 10 foot transition. I think a 9 foot transition with a foot. No, hold on a minute. I think it was 10 foot high. But
that's big,
but sort of like maybe 6 inches of vert. Well, it probably wasn't even really vert because we knocked it together. Me and my dad built it. It probably wasn't perfect vert. It was close. But you've seen a few photos of that. There's a good no hand.
Yeah. The can. So the can was like around the whole shot time when it was in the same
that was
gear.
87.
Yeah, I remember that. That nice photo. Yeah.
Take a picture of Carlo doing a turn down at the right hand of the road as well. It's like taking out the toilet ring hole for everyone.
Yeah, I think I took that photo. I got that published. It was
That was Bradford Unlimited.
Yeah, that's one of my. I think that is the only BMX photo that's ever been published that I took. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't realise you took that either.
Because I was quite into taking photos. I mean, that's why I've got quite a few pictures from over the years. But yeah, probably I was quite interested in photography, but never. I don't know. BMX obviously.
Yeah.
Was number one priority.
Yeah. Kind of.
Benny Hill, but
oh yeah, that was funny, Benny Hill, man.
Was Benny Hill? But it was something that you wanted to do, or because that was all right. I thought that one.
Yeah, well, it's just comedy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, you know what I mean? It was just surreal. It was great.
Was that Peter? I assume that's a Peter Hawkins took up.
Yeah, that was set up through him. Yeah, again because he was connected. He had connections in. I think his brother was something to do with worked in the film industry, TV production or whatever. But yeah, that was great. I mean, I got royalties for that for a long time. Oh, wow. I mean, it went all around the world. That show. Yeah,
that was huge.
Every time I went to a different network, or whatever, I get royalty payments. I got for 30 odd years. I used to get every 3 months or something. I'd get like 50 quid, 60 quid. Added up, must have come to quite a few thousands over the years. But just the experience itself was great. I mean, it was just fun. It was great getting chased by the world's sexy nurses.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that.
I've got some photos of that. I've got some photos of that as well.
Oh man! Somebody else asked, I think this might be someone else, but they said that was it you that once you saw the backflip that you were like, I don't want to. This has gone too far.
Well, as in, I don't want to try it.
I don't want to really continue progressing with BMX. I think this is someone else though, as far as I I remember.
I don't remember sort of being put off by a backflip. I've done a backflip before, but only into foam pits.
Okay.
But I've done them, and I've flipped it and
Yeah.
landed on it. But I've never actually done it onto a hard surface.
Yeah, it was someone saying that once you saw Matt Hoffman do the back, but I'm sure this.
Oh,
is
the backflip on vert.
Yeah.
That different kettle of fish. That was gnarly. You know what I mean? But
because that was 1990, wasn't it? When he.
Yeah, I mean,
first pool one.
that was. Yeah, well, Hoffman had just taken it to another level at that point. It got dangerous.
Real dangerous.
I mean, it was dangerous enough, and then it got real dangerous.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But it was mainly just because it died and there was no money in it, and that coupled with the interest in DJing.
Stuff. Yeah.
You know, so it all came to an end.
Yeah.
And the last ever trick I did, which is on my Instagram, is that thing in Palm Springs, Palm Springs 2 hit me the street. I don't know if you've seen it. There was like a little long tramp up against a car, and then a spine ramp set back, so it kind of like offset.
Oh yeah, I have
did
seen
like
it.
a 180 and travel backwards and land. And that was the last trick I ever did in a competition.
Is that the one where you tried to 720 off the? Is that the same one? Off the floor?
No, that was a different competition. Off the little launch ramp. Launch ramp.
Yeah,
Back
it was
inside.
tiny,
I tried to spin a 720 off it. Just couldn't get the height basically. I won that. That was the competition I won, and first place till it meet the street.
Yeah, I like that footage. Yeah, I thought that looked really good. The contest looked fun. It just looked like a right period of time. Like that was when you was full on Life's a Beach, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was funny though because you turn up at a competition and you wouldn't even know what you'd be riding.
Yeah.
What the ramps would look like or anything. It's like the New York one. There wasn't even a wall, so that fucked me right up, didn't it? You know? Well, there was a wall. There was a small launch ramp to a wall, but not much you could do.
Yeah.
Apart from fakies, really. But I did try at the end of my run. I did try to do a 540 off of it, but it fell on my ass. So.
I think
like
that
the spine ramp. Did you talk about was that in someone's back garden?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamie Mousberg, who was the manager of the Life's Beach, he had that was like the first spine ramp.
Yeah,
really.
so that's what I was going to say. Was that the first spine?
That was really progressive. We had some great sessions down there, and like, you know, Spike Jones used to come down, take photos. I remember Blyther he jumped out of the spine onto the roof of the house.
Oh yeah.
Round the chimney, rode back off the roof, back into the far end of the ramp. I thought that was pretty cool. Could have quite easily actually gone through the roof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've seen that on something recent. You was on GT after Bully, was you?
Yeah, I had a little period on GT because that was when, I pretty much quit riding and I was kind of considering going back to London at that point. It was like the last few months of being in California, that last maybe three months. Yes, so I actually, because I was living in Huntington Beach and GT was based slightly inland from Huntington Beach. And I remember saying to, I think it was Magoo or someone like that, who was the announcer at the 540s, the guy on the mic there. I said, is there any some work, like working in the warehouse or something, you know what I mean, packing up boxes or something like that, because I'm kind of doing a bit of cash, skin. And he goes, well, no, come and do a few shows for us, you know what I mean? So he gave me a bike, and me and Jess started doing a few like mini ramp. I had a portable mini ramp.
Oh, right.
Started doing some shows. So I did that for a short time, and that last contest was on a GT. And then that was it. Packed my bags and went back to London.
Back to the UK. But thanks a lot, man.
That's all right. Yeah, it's been
stories
fun.
were amazing. Yeah.